Oh yeah, man. Famous cartoonist Art Baltazar. As you see, Abraham Lincoln is with me, and we are watching, and you are watching. Famous cartoonists draw at night. They draw at night by night. We're all here together, man. Buy their comics, buy my comics, shop.
Yeah, Fairborn has a really big college, and we have a place called the Nutter Center, which is like a sports arena slash concert place.
I think I was there for an event one time.
Yeah, that's where they have the graduation
Okay.
because it's huge, and like some high schools use it. And today, man, their parking lot was full.
Yeah, I think I was there for then a WWF event.
Nice.
Yeah, that's where I'm pretty sure. And Taz, when he made, I don't know how big wrestling fans everybody else is, but Taz was making his big tease from ECW over to WWF, and he was doing a bunch of house show appearances before they would tease like his 13 logo. They would tease that on like the Jumbotron at all, like the Raws and the SmackDowns. But at the house shows, he would actually start appearing and running out. So I
Nice.
remember being a big fan of him in ECW and then actually getting to see him on the non-recorded house shows. And yeah, I think that was at the Nutter Center.
Sounds like a place that would do that for sure.
Sounds like a
It's
nutty scenario for such a venue. Oh,
I,
I
I
just
have
did it. I just caught my animated left arm as I looked at my screen. I can't stop this thing.
I've been to the Nutter Center for been to a concert there, and when I was in like fourth grade, I went to a basketball game there.
Mm.
I've been to a monster truck rally there.
Ooh, did you see Gravedigger? Did you get a
Hell yeah, I saw Gravedigger.
you get a selfie with Gravedigger?
Nobody, I got the guy that drives it to sign my program, and that was pretty cool.
There we go.
Look at Matt Fife with the 27 panels that always work background.
Is it 27?
Something like that. It's Wally Wood, right?
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
went to Half Price Books today, and I got an asterisk trade hardcover. Some cool stuff.
I don't know if I'm familiar with that.
Oh, it's French. It's published by Paper Cuts, which I thought was pretty cool. And then I also picked up Tintin Volume 7, which
Nice.
has 3 of the graphic novels in there. I also picked up Grady Hendrix's book, The Final Girl Support Group. He's a good author. I also picked up Babylon 5 Season 1.
Jeez, that was a big score.
J. Michael Straczynski.
That's right. Yeah.
I also picked up Star Wars. Oh, Fife will recognize that one.
I have one question about that. Star Wars. What is that?
What's Star Wars?
Yeah, what's Star Wars? I hear people talk about it.
It's just a Star War.
Okay. I get it now. I'm all caught up.
Yeah, the end. You're good to go.
All right. Well, what I am testing here with this kind of episode is that it's been recording And I thought that maybe the dynamic 2-0s and the 3-for-alls would maybe be a more of a natural, like, hey, we're already in the middle of a conversation here. So now this is the proper intro of hello, welcome to Cartoonist by Night. I'm Anthony. I'm joined here by the Matts, Matt Rogers and Matt Fife. How's it going, fellas?
Hi, it's good. Is that what we're supposed to do?
Yeah, I think yeah, you got
Anthony,
my
I'm so bad at this.
you got my scripts, right? You just read the lines I wrote you guys, and for the next, however long, just read the dialogue I wrote for you guys.
I, I will try. Fail you.
So yeah, for those who are new to this, this is Cartoonist by Night. 4 creative friends that hang out and draw. We'll do some featured episodes when we have all 4 of our creators here, and whenever we have a combination of 2 or 3, then we'll just kind of do some random episodes. And this is us just hanging out, talking, drawing whatever we want, talking about whatever we want. So I do welcome some silence from time to time if we're all just in the middle of doing whatever we're doing. So don't feel like we're not entertaining people out there. We'll save that for the featured episodes where we're pretty much always kind of talking about one specific topic. So
Yeah.
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 Now I'm going to show off the thing that I want to draw here. I'm going to go to my to the old share screen. So I'm still trying to figure out, what I need to have my iPad connected all the time. But my computer runs pretty hard with everything going on, so I don't want to overdo it, basically. And but yeah, so I'm gonna show it off right here. Is anybody familiar with the writer artist Brenna Thumler? Brenna Thumler, she was the artist for an adaptation of the Anne of Green Gables graphic novel, but I would come to know her through her what I think is her debut writing and drawing. I just got to figure out, here it is. Full on graphic novel where she does everything, and that is Sheets. Sheets is a story about a little ghost named Wendell, and Marjorie is our main human character, and they're characters that end up meeting up through a laundromat that Marjorie runs. It's a family laundromat and stuff, and not going to get too much into specifics, but she did Sheets. There was a free comic book day bonus story a couple years back. Then the follow-up graphic novel called Delicates, and then there was a hardcover edition which collected Sheets and the free comic book day issue. And I think this one's signed because I got this from a local shop to her that she signed some books. I just have, yep. So she signed this one here, and she's got a little, I don't know if it shows up there, little Wendell the Ghost. I showed this at the wrong time when I had my share screen up, but
I've seen that book before, but I've never read it.
it is fantastic as far as like modern graphic novels go. Like I've read this a couple times. She has a third one coming out called Lights, and that's coming out in the fall of 2023. And just recently, she called for fan art to do a fan art challenge through June something. I'm not sure when this particular episode's going to be out there, but as we look at my screen here, I drew Wendell the Ghost being pushed on a swing by our lead character, Marjorie. So I was kind of playing around with the perspective, and I think I'm pretty happy with the top half here of Wendell. The bottom is what I'm kind of questioning, and just I might have to just alter that when I start doing the actual bed sheet design and have it flowing in the wind and stuff. But yeah, so this is what I'm going to be working on here as we just kind of hang out and chat about whatever. Rob,
I'm drawing a stick figure.
there we go. What kind of stick figure? Is this something you're just going to develop something from the stick figure, or what?
Yeah, we'll just see what happens.
See what happens.
It may just stay a stick figure.
That's awesome.
How about you,
I
Roger?
am wrapping up the art for Happy Astronaut #1.
Oh,
because this needs to hurry the hell up and get done. I'm sitting here like witnessing all this stuff like, oh man, you're one of the featured things in Diamond or in previews. Oh man, check this out. You can pre-order it here, you can pre-order it there. And I'm sitting here like, it ain't done.
you gotta finish it.
But you talk to you hear from regular creators, like regular creators, we're regular creators, but big name creators, and they're finishing it. They're finished their books the weeks before it goes to the printer, and it's been solicited for a month and a half. So
Right.
we're doing good,
Yeah, we're doing just fine.
just not as good as we wanted to be.
The big thing with creating comics that I have to remind myself about is the 90% rule, which is like, don't get hung up on making everything look its best. You're basically operating full time at 90% of your ability. It's never going to be as perfect as you want it to be. So that's the crutch that I'm leaning on.
You just gotta get to the point where you're like, well, I've done the best I can do in this moment. I have to move on.
I have spent 40 years being a member of the Good Enough gang, and it's a perfectly fine place to be.
So yeah,
Don't tell our publisher that.
oh, they'll never see this.
They might.
Okay, they
They
might.
might be fans.
They're cool though.
I was just kind of emulating art with, I'm never gonna watch that. They're never gonna see this.
I wonder if he'll watch this. I hope not.
Yeah. I think we're just gonna put "oh yeah" in the title of every episode, and then he'll watch it.
I liked how he was so weirded out. He's like, it felt weird watching that because, they were talking about me.
I still haven't watched that episode yet.
No.
No. Busy.
By the time people see the episode we're recording right now, they will have the Ninja Turtles episode will be out, and I'm waiting for Fife's reaction to that because you were there for about half the time.
Yeah, I had to leave.
So yeah, there's some goodness for you to check out on that one.
I will watch. I will watch the back half of that. Probably.
Yeah. Basically, when you scrub through it and you don't see yourself on it, then you're gonna start watching.
Yes.
All right, so here I am looking at the inking the sheet here. I pretty much got Wendell where I want. I'm very satisfied with the top half and with the arms. I'm gonna be probably frustrated with the chain, but I'll probably do that, when I'm more concentrated. But this is the part I'm just kind of like making up. I'm not sure if any of this makes sense, but I'm just trying to like figure out like where do I put do I do like something like that? Or like do I like do a weird fold like that? So that's where I'm just gonna be probably saving that for the very end.
Heck yeah, my bro.
And Brenna Thumler called out and asked for fan art of drawing these characters in your style. And I think I've talked about it on a past episode where kind of figuring out like how does one get a style, and that's where I'm just like, all right, I'm just going to not try to look at the reference too much. I've got the books right here, but I don't want to look at it too much and just to kind of see what naturally happens. So even though I've got like here, I'm putting little eyebrow squigglies on a bed sheet. But I'm just gonna kind of try to wing it as I go through this process.
All right. See, this is the idea that I had that I'm putting together for the Space Mail page.
Oh,
So it's like I took an old page that was never published anywhere,
oh,
angled it, and made it like the background,
I love that.
just to make it something a little bit more exciting. And then this sign is going to have like our social media on it.
There we go.
So I don't know, Fife, if you want me to put like your Twitter handle, and then since you barely ever use Twitter, you could always make like a pinned post that says you're on Facebook at this link, or you're on Instagram or whatever. Just
Yeah.
because it would be easier to just put two ats on here.
Yeah, go for that. I'll do it. Yeah, I'll pin something on Twitter.
Yeah, you
Ever
bet.
since I came back to Twitter, I just haven't liked it.
Yeah, I don't go on it as much as possible. It feels pretty good when I got to the point where, because I have a filtered list on there, so some of my favorite people, creators, some people I know personally, things like that. And that way I follow like probably over 1,000 people, but that's just because, well, when I review things and like to tag people and randomly see things in feed. So even though I follow all those people, it's not like I'm reading everything that they write, but there's a very specific list. You guys are on that list, by the way. You got on that list probably quicker than anybody.
Oh,
Some people just had to earn it. But I got to a point where I'm just like, I don't need to once I like fell behind, it felt good being like, oh, you know what? The world's still turning. I don't need to see it. So,
yeah, you realize that so much of it just doesn't matter.
and
Right.
I was
Is
on
that
Twitter. I was on Twitter right when it started, so I was there in the olden days, and it went from being like, all right, now I'm just looking at when Felicia Day is having coffee, to now it's just like, all right, I don't need to know everybody's thoughts at all times, except for Matt
makes,
Rogers.
makes your brain all messy?
I just have a really big community of indie guys that I follow, and a couple of big pros that are like cool. Like I talk to Patrick Zerker on there somewhat regularly. Uh,
I've been
yeah,
saying his name wrong.
he put it in his bio because I was saying Zercher the whole time, but then his bio says rhymes with worker.
I've
Okay.
seen I've been saying Patrick.
I think that's correct.
Okay, good.
Let's see here. Matt Rogers. I need to see if
I don't know if this is interesting to anybody, but I've been writing scripts in Pages, the Apple software, and then I switched over to Google Docs, and I've been using Google Docs for a long time, and that was fine. But I recently downloaded Scrivener for like a 30-day trial, and it's like a paid software, and my scripts read the exact same, but they are so much prettier. Like they look professional, and there's a comic script template in there. I can't wait to send Rogers one that's in that and see if he hates it or what. He might. You like my normal scripting style, right?
yeah, sure.
That sounded convincing.
Uh-huh. Well, I'm glad I downloaded this Scrivener.
Me too.
Anything I've written is basically just in like the normal like notes app on iPhone, and that's as detailed as I get.
I overthink it all.
I mean,
If that's your process.
you
It
got to
works.
do what you got to do. Man, this letters page has so many layers on it that I didn't use for anything.
What is Rogers, would you know how many layers is the most you've ever used in something?
It's in this book. Let's see. Let's see. Probably this page right here. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 23 layers on this page, which is actually a lot less than I thought it would be. So maybe that's not the one I'm looking for. I have a lot. Most people are just like, this is my pencils layer, this is my inks layer, this is my colors and my shading. And one thing I don't do is I don't use a highlight layer because I think it makes my characters look bad. But I use a lot of effects layers, like glowing, especially in this story. And it'll just, or I'll like decide I want to redraw a pose, but I keep the old one on a separate layer and then redraw the new one just in case the new one looks like crap. I can bring the old one back in. I think that this one has a bunch of layers. 1, 2.
Yeah, I've done a similar thing with the Cartoonist by Night episodes where I just make a duplicate of my pencils, and because so far everything I've drawn on the show, I've gone back and just redid in my normal like habit of just watching YouTube, listening to podcasts, and basically just redid it when I was concentrating. And so yeah, I'm still trying to learn how to draw my normal way while also talking to you guys.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Has anyone read anything good lately?
No.
Good.
No, I was listening to the audiobook for Anthony Bourdain's Restaurant Confidential, and man, that stuff's good. It's like kind of a biography, but only his cooking career. Like he touches loosely on like growing up in France and all that stuff, but it's mostly just like his behind the scenes of here's all the messed up stuff that happens in the restaurant world. And if you've ever worked in a restaurant, you can definitely relate to everything he talks about, except for maybe the mafia stuff.
Yeah.
But maybe
Yeah, I've
you
never
can. I don't
experienced
know.
that.
Like there's a whole chapter on this guy that he calls Mark, real last name unknown. It's awesome. How about you, Matt Fife? Have you listened to anything cool lately?
I've been listening to I subscribed to Scott Snyder's Substack
Yeah.
comic writing classes. And I'm trying to get caught up on it. He did a cool one on like the business of creating comics, and Kyle Higgins was on there, and they just talked about everything from actual page rates to dealing with editors and dealing with creators and how like other creators, and how it's different from when it's an indie book versus like a mainstream book. They also said that like starting an LLC was one of the smartest things they did in their comic making career, which we already did.
We did that.
But they waited. It sounded like they waited late into their career to do it. We did it before it even started. But yeah, that it was I learned a lot.
Yeah.
I
As far,
tainted, I guess, but what's up?
I was just gonna say, as far as reading goes, my stacks are still piling up here, but yeah, I'm trying to think of the last like extremely awesome thing I read, but maybe here, how about this? Subscribe to Crimson Call Comic Club on iTunes and YouTube, and then there we go. That's my answer.
And maybe that's really what I was going for. I was trying to get you.
Just to get a plug.
Yes.
I could drop a trailer in right now because we have a trailer for the club. I could do that right now, but future Anthony's going to decide if he wants to interrupt this magic right now with a trailer. You know, a trailer we could drop right now because it'll be out by the time this episode's out. But Happy Astronaut. So yeah, we'll throw out a Happy Astronaut trailer and a Crimson Cowl Comic Club trailer somewhere in in this very episode.
Who knows where?
Anthony knows where, or at
Future
least
Anthony knows.
Anthony does.
Current Anthony has no clue what he's going to do. It'll be one of those things where I'm like somebody's going to be telling a story, and it's just going to like kind of build up. You're setting up the characters and the plot, and setting up all of the MacGuffins and things like that. And then it's going to get to a very like dramatic moment where you're just going to find out that like let's say me where I'm about to tell something really crazy that happens in the story, and I'm going to say it like right about.
Happy and his pal, a robotic stowaway named Half, are on a mission. Find whoever stole Half's missing pieces and get those pieces back. After promising each other that they'd pursue even the faintest of clues to the furthest of corners, our spacefaring duo have bounced from one adventure to the next, hoping that eventually they'll end up in the right place at the right time. Their next stop, a tiny little oasis on a giant planet of star-spewing volcanoes, a place where robots melt and humans bake, and magic-imbued stars rule the land, or so they think. Happy Astronaut is perfect for readers of all ages, filled with action, humor, and heart. This debut issue will have many exciting covers to choose from, including a blank sketch cover variant to commission your very own cover. Pre-order Happy Astronaut #1 from your local comic book shop or directly from keenspotshop.com.
Now the trailer's over, and here we are. So there we go. That was one of the trailers.
Oh, it was wonderful.
That was a great trailer.
One of those two trailers was great.
I look forward to rewatching that.
I can't wait till that other trailer shows up too. The other one that didn't just show up.
The future
Woo!
Anthony decides, it'll show up later.
From the ashes of the greatest comic book store in the universe, these comic book fan friends band together to review new comics, graphic novels, collected editions, and the occasional back issue. Led by host Anthony Latch, together they form the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast.
Yes.
Yes.
I started reading the original Thrawn trilogy. Is that what they call it?
Yeah.
I started reading that last night. I got about 3 chapters in.
It's awesome.
It seems like there's potential.
And they're working, I guess, in the Ahsoka series that's coming out. Thrawn's going to be in it, which is going to be awesome.
Okay. She was in Clone Wars, right?
Yeah, she was like Anakin's like Padawan.
Okay.
She was also in Book of Boba Fett or Mandalorian season 2. One of those. She made an appearance, played by Rosario Dawson.
Yes. She's awesome.
Woo! But yeah, if you get a chance, if you get on Libby or something and get the audiobook for that trilogy, like each one of those books, they're done in a really cool way. Like they're pretty much like audio plays. They have music and sound effects and a whole bunch of cool stuff.
Ooh, look at that, Anthony.
So yeah, here I am
Woo!
with an inked Wendell the Ghost and Marjorie, and I think I'm gonna once again probably figure out the bottom of the bed sheet stuff probably in after the show. But yeah, I think I'm going to jump in. I just kind of want to show off my process of coloring now. Some people, this is how I prefer to color is rather than doing the color drops, which I have been doing in the some of the episodes. I've been I'm just going to decide what color I want here for her shirts, or for her shirt rather. She's only wearing one shirt in this. Um, let me see here. So this is how I prefer to color to have. I have a different layer. I mean, I could color all this because I'm going to go and color these polka dots anyways. But I like coloring literally just as you would physically color rather than doing a color drop. I find it very soothing to just kind of go in and just do it by hand like this. I don't know if some people would just be like, just color drop it and get it done. But this is how I
I
do
mean,
it.
I'm gonna have nightmares about how you color.
Yeah, because it's because it's ridiculous.
I'm just like, oh my goodness, that takes so long.
See,
I mean,
and
go
yeah,
ahead.
all I was gonna say is that I'm just in a very soothing moment right now where I like to take the time to color it. Fife, you're gonna say something?
I have forgotten what I was gonna say.
I had to look to see if Zoom was still open because, but dead air is okay on a three for all episode. So
Yeah, yeah.
I think the biggest thing about this is that when you color drop, you're just doing it directly with your inks and stuff. You can't do that on a separate layer. Is that correct?
I don't know how Procreate works
Procreate.
because I have it and I've tried to use it here and there, but I'm so used to Clip Studio that like there's something weird about the way. So Clip Studio has stabilizing and so does Procreate, but Procreate stabilizing is weird. Like what I can compare it to is almost like putting like doing icing letters on a cake.
Mm.
Like it kind of looks like it's laying it down as you're going. When on Clip Studio, it there's a little bit of lag between you doing the line and the line showing up, and it just stabilizes it after the fact. So it did like I just didn't take the time to get used to it.
Yeah, because and maybe people can write in and comment, but I've never researched anything of what I'm doing right now. Like anything I've ever drawn, I've never really researched. And whenever I've color dropped, it basically I can't do it on a separate layer because it doesn't just recognize any lines or anything like that and any closed objects. But when I do it this way, I could go ahead and do it in this episode, and by the time we're done with it, I'd be like, I don't like that. I'll just turn that layer off and then I'll just redo it. Whereas if I undo like color drops, I'm not able to undo it after it's been, the program's been closed or saved or something. So
Yeah, Clip Studio has it does what's called reference layers. So when I do my colors, I go onto a layer underneath my inks, but I set the ink layer as a reference layer. So then the paint bucket fills in based on the lines. And then I have it set to expand by like 5 pixels. So it doesn't just go up to the edge of the line, it goes under the line a little bit. It's like, because a lot of people, when they do comics digitally, they'll do like flats and then they'll do the rendering on top of that. And this, it kind of like saves a step. Like I don't need to worry about the flats layer. So
yeah, I still just find that if anybody, with adult coloring books has been very popular over the last half a decade or so, and I think that's where I get my enjoyment of just sitting here and coloring within the lines, even though it can be done in a much quicker and convenient fashion with the digital. But and even though I know like some of these hands and fingers look weird and stuff, but it's such a small image that I don't care about it once you really zoom in, being like, yeah, that looks kind of goofy. But when it's zoomed out, who's caring? Who's caring?
Not me.
Oh, come on. I was trying to fish for a compliment. You don't care? I was using the wrong bait. I should have had Crispix at the end of that line.
Okay, I'm listening. Love Crispix.
But yeah, like I said, I'm really trying to just concentrate on drawing like I normally do when I'm not recorded and I'm not talking to anybody. And my project with this is trying to get to a point where I won't actually redo everything I'm doing right here on this episode, because I did it with Dr. Teeth. I think I did it with Krang. Definitely with the Archie piece. Um, but so far, everything I've drawn on Cartoonist by Night, I'm just like, okay, I found that I wasn't paying attention to what I was actually drawing, and I'm just gonna go redo it, which is fine. It's almost like a practice
Yeah.
round.
You're talking to the redo king over here.
Is that right?
Like, oh my god. Redoing everything all the time. It sucks.
You won't next time around, right?
I hope not. I think we should be good for next time.
I wonder if anybody would like to hear about how you had to draw issue 1 twice. Or have you already went over that on the pod?
I think I've mentioned. So I had the dimensions wrong on the template that I was using, and sent it off to the publisher to make sure that the dimensions were good, and they weren't. And under normal circumstances, I would just like, take the entire image and resize it to be the right size, but my width and height were off by a certain amount, so that when I would resize it to fit the dimensions, that each page would have had like an inch of empty space on the top and bottom. And then on pages that had full bleed, that if I resized it, then the bleed would have had a border as well. So redrew the whole thing. That was when I was on vacation and finished, what was it, 18 pages in 11 days. And that's penciled, inked, and colored.
Pretty impressive. And it doesn't look rushed.
Somehow, because my goodness, it was.
We're gonna make that August ship date. As long as we make the August ship date.
And can you imagine if we didn't? I know this is our first book, but can you send out an email letting everybody know how late this is gonna be?
That won't happen.
I know we were one of the featured books in previews, but that's crazy.
That we got that?
Yeah. It's
Yeah.
nuts.
That's insane.
I'll take it. I'm happy about it, but that's so bizarre.
I've
But
said
you
it.
said that there were only 40 books that got that.
Yeah, that's what I counted up.
Wow.
I've said
And
it.
there were some.
I've said it individually, but I'll say it right here. Congratulations to you too. That's an awesome honor.
Thank
Well,
you, sir.
thank you. We are definitely pretty stoked.
Up there with Bone and Conan and Archie and
Dude, that's the craziest part. Up there with
Archie or Bone or Conan or all three.
keep cussing on accident, but yeah, we're like featured right next to Jeff Smith. And I sent a message to the Making Comics podcast guys asking if they ever do like shout outs for listener projects, and gave them the links to the previews site and to Keen Spot's store site for the pre-order info, because I know they record a lot in advance. Like they're constantly saying, by the time you guys are hearing this, then this will have happened.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly how far in advance they go, but and I don't know what their listenership is, but I'm sure it's more people than we talk to now.
Yeah, I'm always thinking about that when, especially with this Cartoonist by Night show. With this show, certain things, and we've got a couple episodes banked. We're throwing in some bonus episodes, some dynamic duos, some three for alls. So the continuity of this is might be kind of all over the place, but I think we're doing good so far.
There is no continuity.
To heck with it.
But continuity is awesome. It's the only thing that keeps the world going. Like, I understand what Troy gets at. We're going to talk about Troy again. He's going to be like, why does Rogers always pick on me? Like, how he mentioned something about how he doesn't understand the importance of continuity, or like why
Canon.
it worked, or canon. Well, like, it's fictional, why does it matter? I see both sides. Like, being able to jump into something is cool, but also like if you're already into something, being able to add into it is also pretty cool.
Yeah, they're doing something awesome with the Punisher book, which we're reading as a club pick on the Crimson Cowl Comic Club podcast, where I haven't read that much Punisher, but Jason Aaron writing this, and with any of the attention it got with the new logo and stuff, I'm like, well, I definitely want to read this book. So we all picked it as a club pick, and then what they were doing, it's a very light spoiler, but for issue 11, where they're introducing stuff that happened at the famous park scene with Frank and Maria's family, being gunned down, that massacre in the park, and they're adding some very interesting stuff in the dialogue moments before this happens. So like they're doing like they're not retconning anything; they're just adding more lore. However many decades later, and I love that kind of stuff where they just are able to continue to add to the overall continuity, introducing something new, but it doesn't really change anything. So
Yeah, I think the nature of comics, it makes it kind of hard when it comes to decisions like that, because it's just especially like take DC. It is intimidating to get into comics, walk into a shop and see Action Comics number like 970.
yeah,
But at the same time, like renumbering it to one is like horrifying to me. Like, you made it all the way up to like what, I mean, they're over 1,000 by now, aren't they?
yeah, they're probably in the almost 1050s, maybe.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, you got to keep that numbering, I think. But at the same time, do you need to read 1,000 comics to understand Superman? Like, it's kind of the thing that I always get into when they do all these reboots of the superhero movies. We don't need Superman's origin story on film anymore.
Yeah, and it sounds like James Gunn had talked about that, saying like we're not getting the origin, that we all get it.
Yeah, we know Superman.
Super who?
When I write Superman, you're going to get a Superman origin story.
Life's
no.
going to change everything.
I'm not going to change anything. I'm just going to tell a Superman origin story.
Fair enough.
It's going to be the best super baby story ever.
Super baby.
Super baby.
Oh,
Yes, nanny. All right, so I colored Marjorie here. She wears these kind of colors and crazy shirts, and I just kind of looked at the colors in Brenna Thumler's book is basically all represented in the colors of Marjorie's outfit here. So there's a lot of, I don't think I showed this earlier. Let me get out of the screen here so we can see it bigger. Just kind of showing the color tones that Brenna does in her graphic novels, at least for sheets. And so it has a lot of, I guess, pastel colors. I guess would be the accurate way to describe that. Oh, here's just an awesome city with all the different ghosts roaming around and such. But yeah, so I decided to just put all of the tone that she does throughout these graphic novels and just make that the outfit choices for Marjorie.
Sweet.
And I think the fan art is just meant for just posting and Instagramming and retweeting and stuff. I don't think they're going to be printed anywhere. But when I saw that fan challenge, I had to take advantage of it, and I'm just like, yep, I have to come up with something now. And I figured, hey, we're doing a bonus Cartoonist by Night, so this is the perfect time for me to figure it out. You dig?
I'm
You're
going to
the
step
best.
away for just a moment. I will be back.
All right.
Do I stop video? What do I hit?
Whatever you want to do, you can hit a stop video just so we don't, if you don't want your screen all broken up when you jump out of here. Oh, look at this. Now we can comment
Hey,
that
look at that.
he's holding some Weird Al shoes on the beach.
Look at that. Look at that. Look at that stud with his legs.
This will be interesting because I actually, I think people will be able to see that. I think that pops up because because I have mine here, my drawing of myself. I'm pretty sure this popped up in a couple of the episodes I've edited so far, but so we should be seeing that gorgeous beach picture there.
Mm.
That Sports Illustrated swimsuit edition spread.
Mm. Mm. Beautiful.
All right, I'm gonna show off where I'm going through the coloring of Wendell. I'm gonna be playing around with a lot of effects, maybe some of that glow stuff you were talking about, because I'm gonna want to try to make some cool designs with the actual bed sheet here. Waiting for this to pop up. Here it comes. Just a second, everybody. Here it is. So I decided just to kind of go with this kind of pastel turquoise type of color. And I'm going to just do a lot of, or maybe you have some recommendations on any kind of effects to kind of just add some maybe texture. I don't know if maybe noise on this would work, using some glows, trying to just do something fancy. I don't want to necessarily just be like, all right, this is how this character is drawn. Just be like, I just want to maybe do something cool.
Yeah.
As I
I'm a-
force you to look at my nightmare coloring process.
It's okay.
But it's good.
That's right.
I love the, oh, hey, look at this taper here. Shout out to Troy. Hey, liking the my taper technique.
I love it.
It's something I've heard that word, but it was something I didn't really know what it meant when he said it, and then I just asked, and then I'm like, oh yeah, that's just how I do things without thinking about it.
You're doing just fine then. Some
And-
people think about it way too much.
Oh, look at this, everybody! People watching, look at this little cut in the line here. I'm gonna have to jump. We're gonna see the magic happen here. Gonna go to my ink layer. Let's get back to the black line. Change my size. We're gonna go in there and fix this in real time. Oh, look at this, everybody! Oh, isn't that
Ooh.
satisfying?
Ooh.
Actually, it is. It's a little extra. I'm gonna go back. Look at that. I hear some voices. Is
Those are
that
my
Wendell talking?
babies. What's up?
I heard some voices. Is Wendell the ghost talking in the background?
Yes.
Now, I'll share
Oh,
this
my-
story. I'll share this story from the Crimson Call Comic Club. When I brought sheets to the comic club for the first time, um, I reviewed it, and when I was editing the audio episode, it was on audio only at that time. We filmed at the physical storefront of Crimson Cowl, and maybe if I had that sound clip, I'll throw it in post here because I'm not going to be able to find. I don't want to mess up the recording looking for it. But there was a voice that went. I don't know if anybody believes in ghosts, and maybe that's a whole. Maybe we'll tell ghost stories, or that's all. Yeah, comics thing.
I thought comics thing was they
They don't tell
never
it.
told the ghost stories.
Maybe
They
yeah.
talk
Maybe
about
this is. Maybe that's all we'll do is. But anyways, there was a voice in editing that sounded something like "hello," and it was real faint. It was the weirdest thing. I was editing and I kept going back. I'm like, well, that doesn't sound like anybody that was. There was a couple people talking at once, and nobody, fessed up to it. They're just like, well, that wasn't me, and we had no idea what it was. And it was, I think it was either the day of or maybe the week after I talked about this Wendell the ghost story, and it was like the strangest thing. And I took that audio clip and I have it somewhere, so I will, if I can find it, I will play it right here for the audience at home.
Do you believe in ghosts, Anthony?
Um, let's say let me think here. I don't think I have an opinion either way. Like I'm not against it, and I'm not like if somebody. How about this? Somebody has a story. Somebody has repeated stories, and they've experienced something. I fully believe, especially if it's a friend, somebody I know and trust, that they're not just putting on a stupid act or anything like that. Like I'll believe them in the moment that they experience something like that. I myself haven't had anything like that. So that's where I kind of lie on, like, I don't know if I can say I believe in it just because I haven't experienced something, but I definitely don't discredit anybody who has a legit story that they aren't putting on for an audience or something. So how about you guys? Since Fife asked me, how about you?
I like the idea of believing in ghosts and UFOs and all the conspiracy theories. I like
Fujinanas?
what's that?
Fujinanas?
Yeah. I like the idea of them. I think they're fun. Until like you get abducted by aliens or whatever, then it's less fun. But at this point in my life, that's where I leave it. It's just fun. Was that an answer?
I think it is.
What about Rogers?
No.
The end.
None of it.
No,
I don't believe in any of it.
you ain't afraid no ghost?
I mean, there's always stuff there that's like kind of scary, but I don't think that it's ghosts. I I mean, I think that at this point in the world, the universe, or time, it's ridiculous to think that like aliens aren't real. Like if the universe is infinite, then the idea that we're the only living things in that universe is ridiculous. And just statistically and mathematically, there has to be something else. But at the same time, they could be like 500 light years away and nowhere near us. And you notice that I think I've watched a whole bunch of stuff about aliens, and I think there's only been one time that there was like a mass sighting, It was like in Arizona, they had that weird V-shaped thing in the sky that had a bunch of lights, and like a whole bunch of people saw it. But other than that, it's always like one dude alone in the woods. I saw this thing and it was scary. They did stuff to me, like it's never a thing that can be confirmed by anybody else because it's always some dude that was alone and this stuff happened to him. But that thing in Arizona was pretty interesting to watch. Plus, that was when there was like cell phones, so there's a whole bunch of video of it too.
I think there's been stuff along the same lines in South America too that I've heard about recently. Not recently, like yesterday, recently, but like cell phone times recently. Yeah, that Arizona one you're talking about was like 2007 or so. Does that sound about right?
Yeah, I think so. It was after I wasn't there anymore.
Oh, is that a connection? Maybe you left and
They felt safe. Like we can go there now. Rogers isn't there to debunk us. Because Matt Rogers is a jerk.
Be nice.
I'm trying to decide if I want to keep this happy here or if I want to keep the little alien man.
since you said Matt Rogers is a jerk, let's just take a to update everybody. So we know Professor X is a jerk, according to Kitty Pryde, and we know Matt Rogers is a jerk. So we just want to keep that jerk count.
Yeah. I think I'm gonna keep little alien guy. I like little alien guy a lot more.
LAG.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll have to work that little dude into a story.
I'm just gonna hide like his little mail truck in the background in scenes. So he'll be an in-universe joke. We need more space mail. By the time this airs, it'll be too late for people to write space mail.
Would it help if threw in that drawing of Happy I did?
Yeah, probably. We also have another little like some guy made. I don't know. Yours was him on the moon holding a flag, right?
Yep.
Yeah, because we also got one that somebody took like a Mega Man sprite and redid it to make it look like Happy. We could probably throw that in here too. I just don't know who that was to credit it to him, but Fife probably knows.
Yeah, it was my buddy Chris Eldridge. Yeah, baby. Okay, bye.
This is the last panel I need to do. Last panel. Oh yeah. You in a panel.
And then you're starting on issue 2 tonight. Jokes.
Yes.
Take a week off.
Ain't no time for time off.
Yeah. What's that?
You talking to me?
Yeah.
Talking to me.
Ain't nobody else here. Who you talking to? No, there's no time for time off. That's what I said.
We don't know when our next due date is.
Oh, I do.
Oh, do you?
No.
Okay.
I have the dates in an email. It's
This
sometime.
conversation was productive.
I mean, it's a free for all.
3 for all.
Hi, Anthony.
Greetings. I'm going to show off the share screen again because I got to a point where I have to make some critical decisions, or if I just do this off air afterwards, because this ain't this is a part where I'm not going to be completely confident in just kind of winging it without sitting here and just thinking about it in silence. So I've got my Marjorie colored. I've got Wendell, kind of a base color. I got to really test what kind of colors I want to blend into his bed sheet. The chains on the swing is probably going to be a very last minute decision. As I have no idea, that's going to be a design. I don't know. I might be able to find a brush or something that I could really, find an easier way to do that, a quicker way. But yeah, now I have the background here, and looking at all of her different colors and such. I think I'm going to make sure I got that on. Figure make some sand here. Let's go. I'm gonna take her hair color, but then bring it down. I could probably add some brush. Oh, look at this. We have a lone dot.
Uh-oh.
We have to figure now. This will be everyone watching and see if it was on this layer. Okay, it's done. And there's a little nope, that's not there. There's okay, that's on the there's one that's just on the iPad, so Art had that where I think on his screen on his monitor where he goes, nobody else will notice this, but he sees it all the time where there's one little, pixel glitch.
Oh yeah, he has a dead pixel on his Wacom.
Yeah, the dead pixel.
See, I related to him because
Oh boy.
right here, when you're doing the layers and you're doing flats, this little white spot in the corner, he was complaining about those corner spots. So you have to go in and find all of those and fill them up, and it sucks. And here's another one in this green background. Whoop.
I'm gonna cut all that out because I don't want anybody to see that stuff. I somehow jumped out of Procreate for a second.
I saw a humorous picture that I have questions about, but
Well, I am going for post Anthony. I'm going to. Hey, this would be a great time to check out that other trailer. It's going to be the one that we didn't see earlier. Now let's go in. This won't be in there. Oh yeah, that's a little spoiler. Rogers, did you see that at all?
No.
Good, because it's about you.
Oh, is
So Fife, did you see what's going on?
I saw an idea of what's going on.
Okay, so
And your secret's good with me.
okay. For the time of as we're recording right now, none of this is going to be in the actual final episode. I'm going to cut this stuff out. This is the trailer moment right here. It's going to be in the Turtles episode. I found an awesome spot based off of something that Rogers said that I'm like, oh, I need a picture for this, but this picture doesn't exist. Well, I'll make the picture. So that's all I'm gonna say. And yeah, I'm gonna cut all that stuff out because I don't want the other stuff that I have in my gallery to be seen. That's the beauty of not doing this live, is that I can just trim that out. So all right. And we are back from that trailer. Wow, that trailer was different than the first trailer we saw. That was something.
It was outstanding.
That it was either a Crimson trailer or a Happy Astronaut trailer, but whatever it was, fantastic.
The guy who edits that, he does a good job.
Yeah, who is that?
I don't know.
He's a champ.
Is it Troy?
Yeah, Troy. He yeah. Don't I didn't want that to sound too bad. Like I'm just like, oh, yeah, Troy.
What a ridiculous proposition that he would do that.
I didn't mean for it to sound quite like how I did it there. I won't cut that out. But I'm just thinking of the hilarity that Troy is, talking about how he doesn't have a lot of answers to tech related things, and the fact that he's our ghost editor. There's another dot. Look at this.
Jeez.
All right, I'm
What are
gonna
you
get
even doing over there?
I don't know. Dots everywhere. Dots all the way down. And now I'm erasing
What
things.
you've been doodling?
Doodling?
Nobody wants to see this, but it's my
Yeah.
stick figure.
Yeah,
I'm
we
gonna share
gotta
my screen,
check in what you're doing.
and then I'm gonna just start a new page of doodles.
Doodles? You do doodles? I do
Clickety
doodles too.
clack.
Whoa.
Look at Mr. Doodle over here.
Yeah, Mr. Doodle.
This is
I-
more than I thought we were gonna see. I thought we were just gonna see like a popsicle stick with a smiley face.
Why can't I see what I shared?
I don't know, but we're seeing a bunch of yellow. We see some warriors. There's a guy with a shield and a sword.
Yeah, yeah, you can make that out. There's a bunch of
Yeah.
people that are falling from rooftops.
I like
And
that
there's someone
face.
pooping on somebody else's head.
I like that face on the bottom, like just the perspective and the nose and the mouth. It's almost like a Simpsons character type of.
I can see that. The yellow helps, right?
Yeah, that definitely helps. But I think like mostly like the lip and the chin looks like a Simpsons type of drawing.
And there's a guy over here, and I think by the little warrior dude. And do you know Mr. Zoss from the Batman comics, the serial killer who like cuts himself with each murder, and he does like the I forget what kind of markings they are, but he slashes himself for each kill. That guy kind of looks like Mr. Zoss. That's what I've been doodling. I'm gonna quit sharing my screen and
Oh, that's cool. I'm glad you did because yeah, I kind of forgot about it for a while. Then.
you forgot I existed.
Yep. I'm saying all the wrong things.
You're so cool and friendly, Anthony. You're the friendliest
sent me
guy
something.
here.
Wait, hold on. That cut out a little bit. Repeat that compliment again.
Oh,
You said you're the friendliest.
Oh, you're the friendliest guy here.
Well, that's not saying much.
they're here. Okay. Hey, I'll be right back for the last time.
Oh, one more time.
One more time. Oh, copyright
Come with
strike.
you, baby.
Yeah, I think we're good.
Yeah,
Think-
Daft Punk broke up.
I think it's like 15 seconds, and I think you have a pass if like people are talking over it or something. If you're playing something, but I don't know.
Yeah, I have noticed lately because I'm a little bit of a video game player, but a lot of games in the option menu have a thing called streaming mode. And what it does is it actually cuts out any copyrighted music. So you
Really?
stream the game without running into any issues with that kind of stuff.
There we go.
Yeah, that's the other thing with that week. Those 11 days that I did 18 pages. Also, in that 11 days, I played and beat the new Jedi Survivor game.
Jeez. we were already impressed with the comic page turnout, and then you just had to be like, oh, that was just the half of it.
Yeah, also, I played a video game way too much. So think of how many pages I could have gotten done.
Yeah. Slacker
Jeez.
playing video games when you should be drawing way more pages than 18 pages in 11 days or whatever it was.
Way too many pages. Oh, my goodness. All right, got to turn off this noise layer. The only thing that's bad about a noise layer is it interferes a lot if you're using the fill tool because the noise layer is just made up of a couple of pixels and then the fill bucket will only put it in that one pixel.
Sure.
So learning all the good stuff from old Raj Dog today.
Phil Bucket. I went to high school with the guy.
He's a cool dude.
He's all right. I hope he's watching.
He probably is.
Why wouldn't he be? Right?
Phil Bucket ain't doing nothing else.
Yeah, Phil Bucket. What do you what What
What a
kind of
loser.
things do you have to do, Phil Buckets?
Yeah, he has nothing going on with his life.
We went from he's a cool dude to like you suck, Phil Buckets.
Yeah, Phil Bucket, you're a loser.
You got to show for yourself.
Jeez, get your life together, Phil. You old nerd. Time for a gradient. Oh yeah, there we go. Oh man, it turned out great. Bing. Oh my goodness. So close. I'm so close.
So close to finishing the issue, you're saying?
Yeah, finally. Finally. I'm ready to be done.
Have you
And
looked at the script for number 2? Or you just
Uh,
been focusing on number 1?
I looked at like the first couple of pages. Do you have any more um trailers to play, Anthony?
um, no, but I'm trying to think here. Do I?
Because I can show off a really cool page that you haven't seen and Fife hasn't seen the final version of, but it's the last page of the issue, so I don't want everybody to see it unless this is going to be out after August 30th.
Definitely won't be out after that. So what we're gonna do here, I think it might be a nice, like, good throwback to let's go out to the kitchen, you know, grab herself a snack, go to the concessions, a little intermission. So we'll cut to now. I just created more work for myself as I have to try to like figure out what I'm gonna put there. So we'll be right back, folks. And we're back, everybody. That was a great little intermission. Whatever, we don't even know what future Anthony did right there, but he did something.
He did something. It'll be awesome though. Let's go in places, man. People are I think they'll be pleasantly surprised by the journey this book takes them on. It's definitely not like any comic book I've ever seen before. Well, do you guys know who Robert Crumb is?
Robert,
Yeah,
Crumb.
he
The
did he
like
did Genesis, right?
yeah, and Fritz the Cat. He was like a Zap Comics, like one of the big indie comic guys. He was in there good with Harvey Pekar and stuff. Um, he lives in France now, and he was just in Cincinnati the other day. One of the record stores that I go to updated with a bunch of pictures of Robert Crumb visiting their store, and he bought like over 200 records to have shipped back to his house in France.
Wow.
Signed a bunch of autographs for him. I mean, could you imagine like working at a store and the little bell above the door goes off and just out of habit you're like, hey, how you doing? And then you look over and it's Robert Crumb.
This one time I was working at a pizza place and it was about closing time. Damn, that song's gonna get stuck in my head. uh and Chris Hemsworth walked in.
Whoa.
And I don't know who the other guys were, but it was for real Chris Hemsworth.
Luke Hemsworth and Liam Hemsworth.
No, I thought it was the dude who plays Crossbones.
Frank Grillo.
But I don't know why he would have been in town. But they were filming Avengers in Wilmington, and
Yes, that's right.
And he wanted some pizza, but I don't remember Frank or Crossbones being in
No, he
Avengers.
wasn't. Yeah, and I don't remember him being like cut out or anything either. So yeah, I don't know. Huh.
Yeah, I remember when they were filming Avengers in Wilmington because because I worked at that pizza place, and every time I got a delivery to one of the hotels, I was keeping a real sharp eye out to see if I would run into Scarlett Johansson.
You never did.
Never did. Such is life, I guess. She was with Ryan Reynolds back then, anyways, and
Oh yeah, you wouldn't have stood a chance.
not at all. He wins.
What is-
Shaking.
What has he ever done?
He bought a soccer team, I think.
Yeah, him and one of the It's Always Sunny guys, right? Rob McElhenney.
Yeah, the one that got fat for a joke.
Yeah, yeah.
Fat Mac. I'll tell you, man, that joke landed. That was hilarious. And I guess
Agreed.
from what I understand, he didn't warn any of the other cast members that he was going to do it, so he just showed up to the first day of filming like 75 pounds heavier.
Oh, God. Surprise.
What's up, guys?
I remember hearing somewhere that he did talk to a doctor about the healthiest way to do it, and the doctor told him there is not a healthier way to do it.
Don't do that. That's how you do it. Just don't. Whee! Almost done. People might get to watch this video and they can pretend that they were here for this. When I finished Happy Astronaut artwork, I thought that I had way less to do, and then I was like, okay, I finished what I thought I had left. Time to thumb through and see what else there is. And there were a bunch of like little partial panels where I was like, oh man, I need to ink his arm right there. Oh man, I didn't draw his hands. Because I'm a really bad jump around guy.
Jump around.
Like I just this will be fun to work on for today, and then work on that, and clearly talk and work at the same time, as you can tell.
Here's where I'm at so far with the coloring. Did a little background, little sidewalk, some bushes. I'm gonna get inventive with the sky, put in a couple trees, but yeah.
I love it.
Love it.
Thank you.
You said this book is called Sheets.
Yeah, so Sheets is the graphic novel. This is the first one. Let's see if it's in here. For Marjorie Glatt, being 13 years old isn't quite the same as it was for everyone else. Responsible for running her family's laundromat while trying to survive middle school, Marjorie's daily struggles include persnickety customers, snippy classmates, agonizing swim lessons, and laundry. Always, always laundry. Wendell is a bit different too. Wendell is a ghost. His daily struggles include dead youth support groups and unavoidable stains. But when he escapes the land of ghosts and bumbles into Marjorie's laundromat, the perfect ghost playground, his attempts at fun and friendship begin to harm the family business. And it's a real deep story. A lot of kind of discussion on like depression and things like that. Delicates is the follow-up. And then there's a hardcover version that has of Sheets, which includes the free comic book day short story. And then this coming fall will be the final book of this trilogy called Lights. So yeah, that is Brenna Thumler. She's amazing. I have this awesome Gilmore Girls piece, which I will put right here. Everyone just go ooh and ah right now.
Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Man, wow.
That is good.
Yeah. Now,
What
if
was
this
her
was
name
one of
again?
our featured episodes, that would be a prepared thing. But I'm not gonna run and actually, you know what? It is framed. I was thinking it was. You know what? I will be back right after my brief message. But you guys are still recording, so entertain the audiences, everybody.
Oh.
Great.
Hi, Matt.
Hey.
I drew a car.
I'm drawing a Star wearing a collared shirt.
As they do.
Sometimes. but the sleeves have been ripped off because their arms are so big.
Oh yeah, he's a buff star. Is he a worker bee star?
He's the I found you at the cave entrance and scared you and made you run away like a girl star.
Gotcha.
Okay, we'll see how this shows up because it is framed. But this is a giant. If you know anything about Gilmore Girls, this is basically every main character in Gilmore Girls right now. Where so you guys will see it, and then I will put like a better image up in post for everybody without the glare. There is so many characters in here, and it's like a Where's Waldo, but it takes place in Stars Hollow from the TV show, and all of the characters are there. It's so awesome, and it's a giant print that's available on our website. I assume it's still available. I will put the link up on the bottom here if she still is selling those. These were limited time. I bought these little ghost charms that she made herself. So there's these little ghost charms here. There's a bunch of different colors. Once again, all of her kind of go-to colors for her graphic novels. And
Nice.
then on one of the, because I've ordered from her a couple times, there was on one of the envelopes, she drew a little Wendell saying thank you, or a little ghost saying thank you. So I cut that out and I taped that to my comic book podium where I do the recording for the comic club.
Nice.
Greta
Rocking a
Thumler is
podium.
awesome.
Rocking a podium over here.
And by podium, it means that it was a dresser from a thrift store.
I yeah, call it a podium.
It's a podium because I basically I gutted out a couple of the drawers and I have a whole system set up, but I kind of created my own like front counter um, in my comic book room area. So once the Crimson Cowl shop had to unfortunately shut down, I'm like, all right, I'm just creating my own comic book store experience.
Was it a pandemic thing that made it shut down? Or was
Uh,
it that definitely didn't help them?
Coincidentally enough, shutting down what ended up being a really great decision because they were getting into the point where I think they were having to decide if they're going to do another year lease or not. And unfortunately, decided not to. But then what ended up being a great decision because a month later is when COVID happened.
Oof.
And yeah, so then it ended up, they weren't stuck in a lease and all that stuff going on. So it ended up, as sad as it was to see that go away, the actual timing of it worked out to their advantage. It would have been not good to be
Yeah.
stuck in a lease.
Would have been a nightmare. So
Yeah, to say the least.
see, that's like I've wanted to move to Fairborn for ages. They had a really awesome comic shop here called Bookery Fantasy. It's been open for like a million years. And it's always been in this town, and it's like a really awesome place. Like they have a bunch of cool Silver Age. Like I've seen Fantastic Four #1 in person there before, like for way too much money, but it was still really cool to see. Like they specialize in buying full collections. Now they only deal in Silver Age, but they are no longer a new release comic shop. Now they are a pulps, old paperbacks, and Silver Age comic shop.
Mm.
So it's like I moved here, and like a month later, one of the reasons I decided to move here went away.
Yeah.
So that was super awesome.
They had a basement that was full, organized, and full of dollar books.
Yeah.
And I'm talking probably over 100, maybe 200 long boxes.
Yeah. Yeah. It was
Organized alphabetically, every single issue $1. They were all bagged and boarded, and it was heaven. And then it just closed.
bunch of BS, man. Bunch of BS. Yeah, just shut down. And after they got rid of those, They had a basement that was all mass market paperbacks for $1 a piece. So I got a whole bunch of Star Wars books there.
Star Wars. What is that?
It's this thing.
I say that's a reference to it was Natalie Portman one of the times that she hosted SNL, and it's one of the monologues where they do the where they take questions from the audience, and so they have all the cast members in the audience, you know, just playing characters and asking questions, and um one of the cast members just like, yeah, I got a question. Star Wars. What is that?
It's awesome. Whenever I think of Natalie Portman, there's this famous picture of her. It's from a magazine, and it's her wearing a shirt that says "Stop War," but it's in the Star Wars style.
Oh,
There's
yeah.
this comment on it where some guy's like, "Just another hipster girl trying to be cool wearing a Star Wars shirt when she's probably never even watched it before." Like, yep, you're right. Got her.
Gotta love it.
People suck. Speaking of people suck, who you guys voting for? Just kidding.
Is there an election?
It's always an election.
Voting and who edits these episodes, I vote Troy.
Me too. Do you imagine?
Yeah, why not? It
That's
can't
what
be
you-
that hard, right, Anthony?
Say that again.
It can't be that hard, right, Anthony?
Oh no, it's super simple. It doesn't take any time. It's just
I mean,
it's
it doesn't
cool.
look like it takes any time. Oh,
Oh, take that, Troy, our ghost editor.
yeah, Troy. Troy's slacking this week. I'm at a convention.
I'm at Tidewater hanging out with Art Baltazar, Dan Parent, and Amanda Connor.
And somebody else. He sent me a picture, but it's his story.
He said
Oh.
somebody was too scary for him to go talk to, and I can't remember who it was.
It was me.
You
Yeah, I
are,
can't remember who he was intimidated by.
I can't remember. Oh man, I hope this turns out as good as I'm thinking it will.
All I know is that night he left to head there, I was filled with so much jealousy. I just want to do shows so bad,
Yeah.
but we got to wait until September.
Yeah. Come visit us at Cincinnati Comic Expo.
That we can definitely advertise.
See, that's the thing that I feel weird about advertising, like because it's so
Yeah.
it's so location based. It's like, do I share Troy's posts about being at a convention and what state is he in? North Carolina or South Carolina or something?
Virginia.
Virginia, they're all the same to me. But it's like I don't know anybody that lives there, so who am I telling to go to this thing?
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, and that I would hashtag Tidewater Comic Con. So in my head I'm thinking, well, if there's somebody at Tidewater Comic Con that's maybe sifting through, maybe trying to find cosplay photos, whether it's their own or, see if people took pictures of themselves or something. And so by using that hashtag, I'm thinking that maybe people who are attending that con are searching that hashtag to help find information or pictures. And I think, hey, then maybe they'll see, Troy's post that I share or something with that hashtag. That's my mindset on it.
Makes sense. I mean, I sat and watched 3 videos that were each like an hour long one night because some guy was at Cincinnati Comic Expo last year and he was just walking around with his camera out recording people. And I was like, I wonder if you can see me and Fife in there. So I
Yeah.
watched them all. I don't even know which day he was there because we were both there just for one day. But I still watch. I was like, "Ooh, I remember that person. I remember seeing that individual when we were there."
I was
So I
on
take it
Dan,
you never saw us.
I never did.
I was on Dan Slott's phone camera on his camera roll. I'm probably still on it because at one C2E2, Dan Slott's my favorite comic book writer, with exclusion of the person here, Matt Fife. You know, Dan Slott's second best. And
You're
I
too sweet,
I was
Anthony.
I was in the crowd and I was near like the Spider Punk, one of the Spider Verse characters, with just like the rock punk rocker type of guy with the huge mohawk and stuff. Somebody had an awesome cosplay of that, and I just happened to be like pretty close to him, and Dan Slott saw that, so he took a picture. I think it was a selfie or whatever of the crowd or something, but I'm in that photo, so I'm just like, I'm in Dan Slott's phone, because I'm sure that's an image he probably saved, and so yeah, that feels kind of cool.
Does it look like your cameo in Archie Comics? Were you just like walking by, glancing over at it
Um, no,
instead of Betty and Veronica? One of them's Dan Slott, and the other one's a guy with a mohawk.
we'll just we'll just go with that. I was just thinking for the continuity of all, because Archie episode is probably going to come out after, but that's all right to say. We
Well, at this
recorded,
point, anybody that knows you knows that you are in that comic.
yeah, yeah.
I mean, I don't blame me. I'd be more annoying than ever about, oh my god, I'm in an Archie comic. Oh my god, they're gonna write me into Riverdale.
Is that true?
Yeah,
I'm gonna be in the next season.
the season they're not doing.
Yeah. Oh man. Oh.
You do have me extremely interested in that show, Anthony.
All right.
That's right.
Hopefully, I don't hype it up too much, because I mean, I just love it, so I'm gonna obviously hype it up. But
Well, luckily, I've watched the first season,
okay,
so
so
I know a little bit of what to expect,
yeah,
but your perspective on it has made me realize that there was maybe some things I was missing, or maybe that stuff didn't develop in season one. But
Have,
anyway, I got summer off. I'm gonna go watch it.
have
Hopefully.
you ever watched any Supernatural?
Me?
Either of you?
No.
maybe a season.
Okay, Supernatural. There might be spoilers here. I don't know. I have not watched it, but Robin is a fan, my wife. And that show had a giant, like, dedicated fan base on the internet, kind of like how Riverdale does. And
Yeah.
Riverdale and that show both seem similar in the idea that they just suddenly like went off the rails with being absolutely insane and crazy as far as their storylines go. Like Supernatural basically started off as a serious show, like ghost stories and stuff about ghost and demon hunters, low budget. Then they got a higher budget and they got campy on purpose. Like at one point, the two main characters go, they are on the set of the show because the show isn't real, but it is real. But somebody knows more than I do, but it just like dive bombs into the fan service. And that's kind of what I am getting that Riverdale does as well. Just like, well, Archie was around in the 50s, so let's have an episode where they time travel back to the 50s. And we can have them dress how they dressed in the comics back then.
Yeah, there's some good meta moments and things like that, and
Telling you, man, they should have done at least, they should have had one season of that show, and maybe they did, that was based on like all the horror books that they're putting out.
yeah,
Like they should have had a zombie outbreak in Riverdale, and they should have had Vampironica and all that kind of stuff, that would have been a cool thing to do. And from what I've heard about that show, it would not seem out of place.
So I will tease that they've definitely flirted with those kind of things before. Um, some witchcraft. There's a lot of stuff that not exactly being like, all right, now we're doing Afterlife, now we're doing Vampironica, but there are elements of those that were woven in, and it got to the point where it's just like, oh yeah, this ain't out of character for the show anymore.
Yeah, because they did a crossover with Sabrina, didn't they?
Correct. Yeah, she actually showed up twice, and her episodes are awesome.
I really liked her
Sabrina,
show.
from the Netflix series.
Yep. So Kiernan Shipka shows up, and they did some awesome stuff with her and had her wearing, they did a flashback episode when they went into the 50s and stuff and the 60s, and so they had a moment where she was wearing the outfit that she wears on her first cover and stuff like that. So
And even her show did some like wild stuff with other universes. Like they brought in, I don't know if Melissa Joan Hart was in it, but I know like the two women that played her aunts in the '90s show had
yep.
a like cameo in the Netflix show.
Yeah, they were basically they did like they were in like a sitcom world, so they had the can. I'm pretty sure they had the canned laughter and all that stuff. But yeah, the actress of Zelda and Hilda were there uh, from the '90s or the '90s show.
That's so cool.
It was awesome. That I mean, I I absolutely love that. I talk about it in an upcoming episode of this very show when we talk about Archie related stuff. So yeah, that's a little tease that I love that stuff.
Good. I'm glad that you love stuff. You're the best stuff lover I've ever met.
You are really good at loving stuff, Anthony. I agree with that.
Getting weird, guys. Getting weird.
Well, the thing about stuff is that it's so easy to love. It's just that people go out of their way to hate it.
Hmm.
It's like I watched that Dungeons and Dragons movie last night. Man, that movie was awesome. It was so much fun. But I bet there's like an entire group of people out there that are like, they ruined our thing that we like. It's like, no, man, they made it cool and funny. Like Chris Pine's just such a good leading man. Like I'm gonna come off like I'm in love with that guy, but you don't expect him to be as funny as he is because he's like, the good-looking, dashing lead man. But then you think back to the Kelvin timeline Star Trek movies that are also like funny, and it works out. I don't know if you guys have seen those or not.
I have.
Is that the J.J. Abrams?
Yeah, those are all fun. Love them all.
Agreed.
I did pick up Best Buy today had Arachnophobia on Blu-ray for $6.
Ooh.
So I bought that one. And I also picked up The Boys season 1 and 2.
Oh, I didn't know they had them out on video.
Me neither, because I'm a huge fan of home media.
Yes.
And it's like Stranger Things. They put out season 1 and season 2, and they have never released 3 or 4. And I'm sitting here like they're probably waiting until the whole show is over, and they're just going to put out a huge box set.
Yeah.
And I'm just sitting here like, what about mine? What about these other 2?
Yeah, they did that with the Netflix Marvel shows where they did some Blu-rays of Daredevil, and they did some of them. They didn't come out with all of them, but yeah, I think they were just kind of testing the waters, and there maybe not enough people cared about it, and then they never made any more. But
That just means they'll be worth more money later.
mm.
Eventually, people will care.
The background is something I'm going to do some sharing here. The background is something I may end up just redoing completely because once again, I feel like I'm on the clock, and not that anything has to be done by a certain time when we do these episodes, but just because I'm not just sitting here listening to to other, obviously I'm listening to you guys, but I'm not in my normal zone. So this is where I'm sitting right now. Um, I wanted to just kind of get very, maybe kind of lazy with the background. I didn't want to get too crazy. I was kind of flirting with blurring it a little bit, but it just kind of messed with my eyes a little too much there. Um, but yeah, this is also just kind of just some random fan art challenge thing. So I'm not going to try to get too serious and do my, spend a week on it or something. But yeah, this is where I'm sitting with my Sheets fan art challenge.
I love it.
Thank you.
Oh, very good. Will there be chains or rope?
I want to do chains, but it's just one of those things, just being like, can I
Kids
do
love chains.
doing chains? If that's, yeah. Did you say kids love chains?
Kids love chains.
Kids love change too. I was thinking when I thought of change, I was thinking in the movie UHF, when there's the supposed homeless guy that comes up and he's like, change, change, and then they hand him some change, and then the old guy counts it back, and basically he just wanted change for like $1 or something. So then he's like, "Thank you, Mister." It's
You
like
mean,
he wasn't asking
thank
for,
you, mister.
yeah, he wasn't asking for a handout. He just needed change for $1.
That guy's awesome. UHF is such an underrated movie.
Speaking of that, have you ever had a Twinkie Wiener sandwich?
I have not. I'm not a really big fan of easy cheese.
Oh. Yeah, that's probably not the meal to try it on either. So,
I like Twinkies, and we all know how much I love sugar, sugar. But
yes. And
kids show.
yeah, I'm debating if I have to cut that or not.
Just cover it with sugar.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
The UHF. So me and two high school friends, back in the day, we tried this in high school, I think, and if anybody doesn't know, I'm sure I'll put a picture here, but there was Weird Al would eat Twinkie Wiener sandwiches, and he would do so within the movie of UHF, and it's basically cutting open a Twinkie like a hot dog bun. So you got the filling there, and then you put in a hot dog, and then you top it with spray cheese, and that is your Twinkie Wiener sandwich. And we all tried it. We all took a bite at the same time. We all kind of looked at each other, being like, yeah, it's not too bad, until the hot dog taste sunk into the cheese and the sweetness of the sponge cake and the filling, and then we're just running to the sinks and the garbages to spit it out because it was disgusting. So yeah,
Huh.
Weird Al. Ah. Also, a very good performance by Michael Richards in that. Like
He-
the janitor.
yeah, I
Is
got
it
time for
Stanley?
the fire hose.
Yeah. Did you ever get into, well, you're Anthony, of course you got into Owl TV.
Of course.
You probably own it on Blu-ray, or on DVD, don't you?
That I do. I own it on DVD.
Woo! Did you get your Dr. Teeth record?
It got an earlier shipment date, because that usually happens with Amazon stuff, where they're like, it's gonna show up 6 months from now, and then next day you get, your products are arriving early tomorrow. And so yeah, it at the time of this recording, it will be showing up, I think, tomorrow.
Nice. See, I had the
Long-
opposite with Amazon.
Yeah.
I ordered, so Coheed and Cambria are a rock band, and they're also in the comic book world. If you ever get into it, they have comic book versions of all their albums, because they're a concept album that tells a giant story. And their first album came out in like 1998 or 97, I think, or 99, somewhere around there. And it was never released on vinyl in the United States. It came out in like Japan and all this stuff, and you could get it, but it was like over $200 for it. They announced on their website that they're releasing it on vinyl in the United States for the first time. And it was going on sale at this date, blah, 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 blah. So I went to their website. They had like 3 versions of it. I generally don't care about colored vinyl because it doesn't affect the sound. The reason I'm getting the vinyl is for what it sounds like.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's cool to get stuff, but their website locked up from everybody going to it. So I ran over to Amazon real quick and I pre-ordered it on there. And I got the email, your order is set to arrive June 9th. I was like, yeah. Like 2 or 3 weeks later, there's been a change to your order, and now it's going to get here in November.
Oh boy.
That's okay because I'm used to. I ordered the Scott Pilgrim versus the World video game soundtrack on vinyl, and I
Nice.
waited over a year for it because one of the main vinyl manufacturing plants in the United States burned down in the middle of the pandemic, I guess. So everybody's records were delayed for a very long time. Whew. Me and Dave Scheid, we were both like, where's our stuff?
Where's our stuff, Amazon?
Is Dave all into vinyl too?
I don't know if he's super into vinyl or if he was doing it more for the Scott Pilgrim aspect of it,
Okay.
but I like vinyl a lot. I have my Discogs list of all my stuff, and there's a lot on there, and it's embarrassing sometimes, but then I'm like, it's all cool though. I really like getting video game soundtracks on vinyl, and those are one of those things that you basically have to get them the second they're made available because it's such a niche market that they skyrocket in price after that. This is going to be a real weird episode when people listen to it.
That'd be great. Anthony will make us sound.
And what I like about it, like, the featured episodes that we've done so far are very entertaining, very fun, good discussion. I've got things lined up, reading fan mail, got prepared slideshows and share screens, and I put on a whole production. But I also like the idea of doing these where it's just more relaxed. I like the idea of other people drawing along that maybe they just need some background noise and they don't need to be looking up the whole time at what's going on from us until we say something or say we're showing off something. But hopefully we're just creating another show for people to kind of just listen along to as they create their own stuff. So
Yeah.
yeah,
This is where people get to know us as humans.
yeah, this is all you'll see. Fake Anthony in the featured episodes.
Yeah.
This is real Anthony. I'm a jerk.
Real Anthony's a real bag.
So I'm playing around with the chains just to kind of like hand draw them. I can tell you right now, chains will be something I am going to add when I'm not recording and I'm just sitting there watching another show. So, because this is going to take some decision making on how I design this, what kind of brushes I use, what kind of design. If I look at if there's a brush that I can quote unquote cheat my way through. I'm sure there's some packages out there that you can buy and stuff, but looking at whatever I have, I don't think there's any kind of chain.
I spent I think $15. There's this guy named Frendan, Frendan. He does brush packs. And I bought his everything pack. I think it was $15. I bought the Clip Studio Paint, but I think he puts it out for different programs. And it came literally like 900 brushes were in this kit. And I used 3 of them. But those 3 brushes were totally worth it because a lot of it's stuff like it's just stuff that I would never really use, like a lot of effects brushes. Like, let's see here, let's create a new page.
What's
Let's
cool about
see.
that though is somebody else bought it and will never use those 3 brushes you'll always use, but
See,
they'll
I
use.
have hearts, I can put little hearts. There's like crowd brushes, which are weird, like blood stains. It's
Mhm.
like, what am I gonna? I do a family friendly comic. I'm not gonna put blood splatter in it, you know.
Yet.
What's this one? Just weird lines. Like it just has a ton of different things. Like some of them are cool, like dappled light, which is neat. But then there's like this one's called Happy People, and it's just
Whoa.
it just makes it look like I spent the time to draw a giant crowd.
So you could like do that and maybe like blur it or lighten it just to
Right,
draw
exactly.
less attention to it. And it's just kind of a nice. Whoa.
So it's like, and it doesn't overlap. Well, it does, I guess. But yeah, like it's just this weird crowd thing. Then I have one that is like it's a silhouette of people.
Oh, nice.
I have one called Spooky Crowd. What's that look like? Whoa. So it's just like silhouettes of that. I have one that is lightning. So I can just draw and it'll automatically
Ooh.
do like a lightning bolt.
That's cool.
Whoa. The only thing that sucks is like, see that end? There we go. I finally got a good one. I have a bunch like these stuff kind of came in handy, like energy effects and sparkles. I've been using the sparkles a lot for this first issue of Happy.
Is there
Uh,
chains in there?
There's metal ball chains. Let me get one. Huh. Let's do this. Nope, wrong way.
You just swear
Black
again?
and white. Nope, come on. There we go. So you can have like a ball and chain necklace.
There
I
you
have metal plate.
go.
I have money.
Wow. Wasn't expecting that.
I got a rope.
Good old
Got
money brush.
stitches.
I'm gonna start calling you Money Brush Rogers.
Got armor scales. I got a zipper,
Jeez.
which goes well with the zipper brush. Armor, bolts, coins. You want some coins?
Jeez.
Fish, light bulbs if you're into light bulbs, I guess. Look, I thought I had a chain in here. What's this one?
If there's a money brush, there's got to be chains.
Right? Whoa!
Hmm.
Bullets. There we go. Chain.
Oh, so that's what I need right there, and then I don't have to. Then I could just be done and move on. with
Right,
my
you're
life.
like, done.
Just
Got
send, draw that, take a snapshot or save it as an image, send it to me. Just draw two string chains and then send it to me, and then I'll paste it.
on an
And then-
evergreen forest in the snow. Got that for you. That's crazy, man. You want some balloons? We got a balloon brush. We got rope that looks real. Because that wouldn't look out of place in a comic book.
Yeah.
Some stars. All right, cool. Yeah, so here's another crowd brush that I have.
Looking at that rope just gave me. I'm gonna test that on my end here. I have a theory.
Go ahead.
Maybe I was going about this all wrong.
What?
I just heard somebody say, go ahead.
Is that the ghost again, or is it one of your kids?
Yeah, my kids are gone. That must have been a ghost. I'm
Yeah,
a believer.
my kids are gone too.
Seriously?
Yeah. I totally heard a little kid's voice say, go ahead.
Oh,
Yep.
oh, I heard it, and I just assumed that that was just your backgrounds with your family life and stuff.
I
No, my
want
whole
to-
family's gone.
I want to adjust my earlier answer. Yes. I believe in ghosts.
Yeah. Wendell, if you can hear us, can you send me an early copy of Lights? Because I can't wait to read that final book.
Oh, here you go, Anthony. I found this brush too. Whoa,
Ah,
gold chain. Telling you, I have a ton, man. I got a bunch of stippling brushes. You like butterfly ivy? That's what this is called. Let's see here. See what it does. Ooh. You like regular ivy? Ooh. Oh yeah, I remember this one. Music.
jeez.
It's crazy. Like there's just so many brushes, and I'm just like, I will never use this stuff. And then there's like even banners. So like
Look at Banner, Michael.
I can just draw a banner. Want another one? Here we go.
Look at Banner, Fife.
Yeah, Fife, where's your banner?
We were making Arrested Development references off air, so I'm just trying to make one right now to grab his attention. Fife, you want to show your screen? What are you doing?
Yeah, man, what are you doing? Hey, man.
Hey man. Hey man. I do that in everyday life, thanks to the Oh Yeah podcast, but that's something that I find myself doing a lot. Even if it's not a situation where I would say that, I just by myself and I'm just like, hey man.
Hey, man.
So I'm screen sharing.
If you could just to kind of, I don't want to show people me trying to figure out how to do these chains. I've gotten a thing now where I'm going to be less artist, or I'm going to be less perfect with how I want to do it. And I'm like, you know what? I think I found a rhythm, and I'm just going to see what it looks like, and maybe that's just how I draw chains from now on. I don't care if it makes sense. Whoa,
Who's that guy?
I don't know.
he's looking a little. He's looking a little blue.
He's dead. He's dead, but he's probably going to work or something. See his worker shirt?
No, that's
All
cool. I
buttoned
wasn't.
up
I
and
didn't know what to expect, and the screen is popping up, and I dig that. That was just all just
yeah,
freehand.
I just started doodling.
No, that's cool. I think it's awesome.
Oh, thanks.
That's
I'm
the
okay
thing.
with it.
Like, I personally just I need to know what I'm doing before I like do something. I'm not good with just a blank page and just be like, all right, this is what I'm gonna do now. I'm good. I need to sit and think about what I want to do, and that's that's just me. So I like that's just I just drew something.
I'm going through and doing my color holds on my background to get rid of my line art by coloring it.
We should just color the long way like I do.
That's what I have to do for
Oh,
color holds. It
okay.
sucks. Not that what you do sucks.
What I do is comforting.
What I do generally is really fast, and this is not really fast.
I am on a roll with just zoomed in, just drawing what I think might be chains, and I'm just getting very sloppy with it on purpose because I'm gonna hope that it's just kind of real funky when it's done, and then I'm just like, "Hey, cool chains, bro."
Don't you love that? Because you're like, what's this gonna look like when I zoom out? Because it might look like garbage. You never know.
I haven't zoomed out yet, so
I have my fingers crossed for you. But I've definitely been there where I'm like zoomed in and working, and then I zoom out and like everything I just drew is like 2 sizes too small. Yeah. Like, why is Happy's hand so little right here?
okay, and I did now smartly. I did the chains on a different layer so I could just have the freedom of moving it about, stretching it out, um, basically just kind of repositioning it rather. Ooh, this might not be bad.
He
Also,
impressed even himself.
also because it's on a different layer, there's still a great chance that I might just redo this completely. But I am going to very soon. It looks weird, but I'll share it anyways, just because I've been doing this behind the scenes. So let me copy, paste, and get change for the other side.
What
And
was that?
maybe
Was it It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia where D looks at something and is like, ugh, it looks weird. I want to touch it, but I don't.
I love that show.
I don't remember what she was talking about, but man, that was awesome.
I gotta catch up on it. I've maybe watched through 8 or 9 seasons. I guess whatever I have DVDs of, that's probably where I left off. But I could definitely go through that.
That show is one of those shows that everybody told me you need to watch. So I like got the first season and I was like, these people are all crazy, man. This show sucks. And they're like, oh no, you just start with season 2.
Yeah, once Danny DeVito shows up,
yeah, exactly.
it's gold.
It didn't get good until they got Danny DeVito to show up. Like, oh, okay.
I'm the trash man.
So anyways, I started shooting.
I've seen Danny DeVito naked.
All right, that's the show, everybody. It was good seeing you guys again.
Was this unrelated to the It's Always Sunny conversation?
Yeah, he's just talking about like last Thursday.
Yeah, he came over and skinny dipped.
Yeah, man, we just went into the sauna and we did it man style. That's all.
It was cool. We're friends.
You guys
he
are
gets naked in an episode.
You guys are putting me in an interesting bind where I got to make some post show decisions.
Well, it was on basic cable.
There we go.
You never saw there's a Christmas episode of It's Always Sunny.
All right.
And you guys have never seen this? There was a
Just one
couch.
where he
Oh,
hides
the
inside
couch, yeah.
Yeah.
It's like it reminded me of Ace Ventura when he comes out of the rhinoceros.
I was
Look how it's giving birth.
I was literally going to say the exact same thing, but you beat me to it.
Oh, it's perfect. Time to color my womp lines.
You know, I zoomed out and I looked at those chains and I'm like, that looks awful, but I decided what I needed to do. So now I'm zoomed in again and I'm outlining every line I drew with some black because I think that is what's going to help make it pop. And I might actually just keep this and I got to get to the point where I'm like, I could just put it out there. Who cares? It's a fan art. It's a fun little thing I do. I don't care if it's perfect. It's fiction. I'm having fun. Talking with my boys.
All about having fun.
Aw, where is boys? I'm 40.
I'm I haven't been looking at the screen for a while. I should always look just in case Troy does pop in because he said depending on when he gets home and stuff, but I forget what time he said, but I was realizing what if he was like waiting to get into the Zoom the whole time?
Why won't these jerks let me in? Why am I friends with people like this?
I have to edit this episode and everything. I'm
What-
Troy. I'm I don't know.
My name's Dante, and I'm the biggest idiot ever.
Honestly, I was thinking about saying that, but then I didn't want to explain it. But now you just did it, so now we don't have to explain it because we just know.
Man, I bought that animated series finally. I tracked down a copy at Half Price Books like a couple of years ago, and
Yeah,
so awesome.
that second episode is so great when they do a clip show right away.
And that is the exact reason that show failed, because that was the first episode that aired on TV.
Oh, really?
Yeah, so like everybody tuned in, they were like, wait, what's going on in this? Because they kept having the flashback to the
Yeah.
potted flower falling and breaking.
Why are we walking like this? My favorite one when they go to, I think they go to a convention or something, and then uh they're like, "What's the matter, Spade? Nobody love you?" And then he goes, "No."
Such a good show. I want the
Now,
guy who draws Blunt Man and Chronic to sign my comic. You're just a tracer.
have you seen Clerks 3?
Yes. I don't know if Fife has yet.
I have not yet.
Man.
It's not a story spoiler, it's just a cool thing because it was, it's been announced for a while, but Mark Bernardin of Fat Man Beyond, writer and now a director in his own right. He plays Lando in Clerks 3. Lando is the character from the animated series. Now, I don't know, I don't remember if they like call it out in the actual movie. I think it's in the credits, but he's Lando.
It's awesome.
Lando was the mayor, right? I'm trying to. I haven't seen the animated series in a long time. He had a. I remember he had a limo or something, right?
The mayor of Leonardo was a guy named Leonardo.
Yeah.
Okay, that's
He was
what
like
I'm
an old
confusing.
white dude. Yeah.
Okay.
I think Clerks 3 might be the first time in live action that they refer to it as Leonardo also. Because they mentioned that they're in the town of Leonardo.
Whoa. The chains might not be too bad.
Good.
I am going to I gotta copy it here so I can do the second set of chains, and then I will show it in just a second. For the purpose of what I'm doing here, I think it works. All right, everybody. This is going to be a big reveal where you guys are going to either go, "Hey, good job. Those suck." Or you're going to be like, "Oh, that turned out really nice. You suck." We're going to find out in just a second. Once my screen mirroring pops up. All right, here. These are my chains.
Yeah. I dig it.
I love that. Here are my chains. 10 seconds go by. Yeah. No.
yeah, those are wonderful.
Did you draw those?
I hand drew all of them because I'll zoom in. None of them are, they might not make sense with how they interlocked. I just kept switching colors, and then when I inked it, I just did whatever. I don't even know if any of it makes sense, but that's what I did.
Okay, it's a chain.
And for people who are watching, I can simply turn off the chain layers and maybe redo it if I have more confidence as I'm concentrating on it. But on the fly, for the purpose of this episode, I think I'm done with my. Oh, and I could do the sheet. I wanted to do some extra little flourishes and effects on the sheet, but yeah, that's that.
You're the best.
Oh well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Were you meaning Lando like Lando Calrissian?
He's not that
In
Lando, but I'm
Clerks?
sure he's probably named after that. But I
But
think he's just. I'm trying to remember. I think he's just a guy that comes in and just like, "Hey, Lando," and for the purpose of the joke and the comedy, I think don't they say something about like how there's just a bunch of white people on the show and they need they need a black character on there and stuff. I think that's what they were doing with that. Did they end
Yeah,
up?
I remember there being a big controversy about how doesn't Kevin Smith know any black people?
And then
So-
doesn't
Tracy Morgan.
Yeah, he is in those.
Hmm.
And Rosario Dawson plays Dante's wife.
So for those, oh, I thought I was on Share Screen. Share Screen?
Shelf Queen.
I thought I was in Share Screen, everybody.
You're so adorable.
You gonna share your screen now? Show us your chains. See your widow chains that you drew by hand. So then there is, since I'm not on there, but basically I would go through, if I keep these chains, then I got to go back on the ghost and redraw just the portion of the hands of the sheet to kind of overlap the chains and holding onto the chains. But I think I might keep it, but I think that's where I am purposely ending. I think that's where I'm going to end my drawing for this session, just because it's been a while on that, and I don't think there's anything more I could do with that.
I think you're wonderful. I am currently using this awesome feature in Clip Studio Paint where I can export every single page into a 3D model of a comic book and flip through it as if it is a comic book. And I'm doing that to make sure that all the pages look good.
I hope you go back on this episode, because when you just said, like, I think you said I was wonderful or something, I
Yeah.
literally had like a spit take and I dribbled down.
It's because nobody ever compliments you. It's like you didn't know what to do with the info.
Exactly. I'm just like, wait a minute, is Troy here? Are you talking about his awesome comic books or something?
Clearly, you mean a different Anthony Latch.
Yeah.
Hurry up. Did I show you my cool little tiny, my little tiny hard drive that I got?
Oh,
That is a 2 gigabyte SSD, or 2 terabyte, sorry, SSD. And I have another one. So I have 4 terabytes so that I can get files off of my computer and save them onto this little tiny drive.
How many issues will that hold, do you think?
I don't know. I'll have to check. Let's see. This won't be on screen, so that's a plus.
I got very excited when I found out that I had Lay's stacks within arm's reach of my drawing station. You ever have Lay's stacks?
Issues.
Whoa. Whoa, everybody focus on that there. That who cares about my Lay's stacks? We're looking at some comic book flippage.
Happy Astronaut issue number 1 is 1.65 gigabytes. So one of these hard drives will hold just under 2,000 issues.
You forgot to draw the cover on it.
I did. All right, so inside cover, page 1. Let's see here. Yeah, it doesn't lay as flat as a real comic book does. But yeah, you can just flip through page by page. Oh yeah, it's beautiful. Oh, it's so good. Oh yeah, look how good it is.
You picked a perfect time to do this, because in post I'm going to zoom in on your screen and I'm eating potato chips right now, so that way I don't have to, nobody will see me eating potato chips.
Just make sure you blur out that last page, especially.
Seriously?
Yeah. That's like the big reveal of the issue.
Oh, of that other thing that we cut out? Man, you're gonna put me to work on this one, this
No,
episode.
putting Troy to work. Yeah,
Troy to work.
other than the lettering, this issue is officially done.
Whoa.
Luckily, I still got all those covers saved though, so that's a plus. Oh yeah.
Fife, can we see what you're doing now?
Oh. Wow.
Oh.
Yes.
I love that it says Bill on that.
Right. And here's a funny little thing that only people that hear this will know. That's the wrong one. There we go. That is actually Hillary Clinton's handwriting from a Christmas card that the White House sent out. She signed it sincerely, Hillary and Bill Clinton. And I just wanted something that looked like it was written with a ballpoint pen. So that's the name that ended up written on there. Because, you know, you'll be at a comic shop going through back issues and you'll find one that for some reason Billy wrote his name on it. And you're just like, why did they write on the book? That's so weird.
Gotta claim your stuff, man.
I just got to do the back cover. And I think the back cover, I'm just going to do a space scene, and I'm going to ask our publisher to do. If you look at the back of like a kid's slapshot book, how it just has basically all the available covers and like to collect them all, and then the ad for their store. I think that's what I'm going to have Teen Spot do. No, what I'll do, you can cut this part out too if you want. I'll clap a couple of times.
Are we back recording now?
Yeah, sure. There we go.
Man, I'm really gonna have to pay attention when I edit this episode.
See, when I used to do a podcast with one of my friends in Arizona, but we did it over the internet and it was just audio only. And the way that we would do it, we knew where we had to edit and we knew where to get the audio lined up, because we would say 1, 2, 3, and then we would clap. And that clap showed up as a spike in the waveform. So I knew to line up stuff, because what we would do is we had Audacity, and each of us were recording our side of the conversation into Audacity while also having a Skype call. That way we had the best quality of each of our voices.
Yeah.
It was a nightmare. It lasted like 3 episodes, and then we ran out of ideas, because that's how most podcasts go.
Yeah, people have asked about like the Crimson episodes, and AB Conversation is another podcast that we only do kind of specials now, but we did a bunch of them for years, and people had asked like, oh, what kind of microphones do you use, and do you use this and that? And I'm just like, I just open my laptop and hit the record, and we just record from whatever microphones within the laptop. Like, do the minimal. I always like the idea of having a cool setup, just because it feels like you're having your own radio show and stuff like that. I like the idea of that, but then that's also just a giant setup and expenses and technical stuff where I'm like, I could just hit the record button and just we're done.
We're done here. Get out of my face. Yeah, that's the magic of living when we do now, is everything can just be so easy. And like quality of everything like that is going up. Like there's so many YouTubers now that instead of spending like $1,500 on a DSLR that can record video, they just record on their iPhone because the camera's that good. It's nuts. It's crazy. All right.
Like having a computer in your own pocket.
It's nutso. Ready for this? We're gonna do a thing.
Uh-oh. Do I have to cut this out too?
Nah, we're good. We're all good. We're gonna do this. Oh.
Ooh. Look at the magic.
Yeah. Yeah, man. Yeah, man. Hey, man.
Hey man. Hey man. I lost my train of thought.
You sucker. Sorry for calling you a sucker.
Hey, come on, man. Hey man. Hey man.
Hey, man.
Hey man. Leave me alone, man.
Space. Oh shoot. There's some.
Let's have another look at another look at Brenna Thumler's Stars Hollow from Gilmore Girls, man.
Hey, man. I love it. It's really cool. I've never watched that show, but my wife, I think, binged it.
I'll say this, like, I love my Buffy, my Firefly, and certain things like that, my Marvel, my WandaVision, things. I love all that kind of stuff. But if I really had to like say like what's the best TV show that I've ever seen, I think Gilmore Girls is the best thing that's ever been created for television. And I'm saying that right here.
Well, why wouldn't you?
I know. It's a bold claim, but I'm rewatching it. What's fun right now? So I've seen it. I didn't start watching until season 2 when that was airing, and I happened to flip around in the channels because it always aired opposite of Buffy, and must have been like an off week of Buffy or something. And Gilmore Girls was on, and it was a very fun episode. I didn't really know much about it, but I was laughing, and I'm like, oh, I gotta keep watching the show. And then wait for the season 1 DVDs to come out, so I would watch season 2 as it aired while I was catching up on season 1. and I'd rewatch it a couple times, but over the last handful of years, would run out of time to keep rewatching a lot of my favorite shows. So I realized, maybe was it a year ago, 2 years ago, where I'm like, I want to rewatch Gilmore Girls, but I'm not going to binge it. I want to rewatch it episode by episode, week by week. So
Oh,
Friday night dinners is a thing that's a theme within the context of the show. And I'm like, you know what? For my Friday night dinners, for every single Friday, I'm going to watch another Gilmore Girls. And I had done the math for the 7 seasons plus the 4 mini movies they did as a return when they returned on Netflix, and doing it week by week I'm going to finish in October of 2024, and I think I started this in 2 years ago, maybe a year. I forget how long, but it was going to be a several year project, and people are like, why are you taking so long? I'm like, well, I think it's fun because it builds up the anticipation where I get to rewatch an episode every single Friday with my dinner, and that's just kind of a fun thing that I look forward to, and it's been awesome just to kind of rewatch a show, but take years to do it.
be like, look,
So-
man, this isn't
Hey, man.
for you. This is for me.
Hey, man.
I'm doing something similar. I haven't started it yet, but I'm timing it. So back in the day, pre New 52, I read everything DC Comics published. Every single book they put out. I read it. I had my books shipped by DCBS weekly, and by the time the week was over and I was getting my new shipment, I'd read that previous week's books and I was reading the next books. I was on it. I knew what was going on in every corner of the universe. And it was insanity. But one day I want to write for Superman. I want to write Justice League. I want to know the universe. I want to know how this character dealt with that character. I had my reasons for doing it. For a long time, I really enjoyed reading every single DC comic book. And then the New 52 happened. And what I felt was like a pretty cohesive universe suddenly did not feel cohesive. There was a lot of good books that came out of the New 52. Batman, Swamp Thing, Animal Man, Grant Morrison's Action Comics, Frankenstein and the Agents of Shade, anything Jeff Lemire, Scott. Anyway, but it got to the point when they hit the 36 issue mark where I just didn't feel it anymore. I couldn't keep up with it. I didn't want to read even the good books because I had invested so much. Holy crap, I'm talking like I invested so much time and energy into this goal, and I no longer wanted to write for DC because I didn't feel the connection to these characters anymore because they changed them so much. Not just Superman's underwear wasn't on the outside, but man, Superman's underwear wasn't on the outside. Jonah Hex was in the current DC timeline, which was kind of cool. But anyway, so around issue 34, I decided I would not read them anymore. I would quit. But then they canceled All-Star Western. So I was like, all right, I'll give them one more month. And I may be off on my numbers a little bit. I'll give them one more month. I'm going to finish out All-Star Western because I love Jonah Hex. And then the next month, they announced they were doing a Darwin Cook variant cover month. And I was like, all right, they got me for one more month. I'm going to order the variant covers. I'm going to order all my books, and it'll be a clean break. I'll just be done middle of storylines. No matter what it is, I'm just done. I kept the Artie and Franco books. I think they're doing Superman Family Adventures at that point. 4 or 5 years went past, and I was perfectly fine with my decision. I was spending that money on other comics, indie books, image books, back issues. I was working on a collection of like comic books from DC Comics 1978 through like 1985, and trying to get all those that they published collected. I'm still talking a lot. Holy crap, I'm sorry. but I started getting that feeling in my soul, like I missed my friends. I missed Superman and Batman. I wondered maybe I was wrong and I shouldn't have quit. But then I was like, well, I can't just jump back into it because they'd already went through Rebirth. They probably went through another, they went through Convergence, Rebirth, some other big event. I can't remember what it was called. I didn't know what was going on. So I realized I was more happy reading DC Comics when it was history versus the current timeline. I wasn't like stressed about like, what was currently happening with this character. I could just like read the back issues and enjoy it. So starting May 25th, which will be, I believe, the 8th anniversary of DC Comics Rebirth coming out, the one-shot special, I'm going to read that book. And then the next week, I have every book that they published that week, which was like Batman Rebirth, Green Arrow Rebirth, something else, Superman Rebirth. Yep. And I'm going to read those. And I'm going to let myself enjoy it 7 years or 8 years in the past. I went back and I collected all those New 52 books that from where I stopped up until they ended. And I reread the entire New 52. And there was a lot of good stuff in there. There was a lot of wasn't my cup of tea, but there was a lot of really good stuff in that era that just like kind of got bogged down in like all the drama and negativity of focusing on what was going on right then, like I don't know if you remember that time period and what DC was doing, right? Do you?
I know that it was real bad.
Oh yeah, Rogers is here too. You got your head down. I'm just looking at Anthony. But yeah, it was really bad. Like not just like some of the books, but the drama, like, and what I was exposing myself to, like Bleeding Cool was constantly getting visited by me. And I like Bleeding Cool. I know what it is now. I'm smarter than I was, but it was just feeding that drama and like making it so even like great books, Batman and Robin by Tomasi and Patrick Gleason, I couldn't even enjoy that, but that book was amazing. But anyway, went back, reread it all, finished up the New 52, took a break for a year and a half because I was feeling that it's too much. Also needed to build up the collection of the, next bit. Now, next week, I get to revisit my friends and I'm really, really excited. It's like you visiting Gilmore Girls. Sorry, I think I just talked for like 12 minutes.
Hey, I've talked.
Usually somebody interrupts me by now.
I've talked for about 6 episodes that we've recorded so far, so I appreciate that I'm not the only one going off. So,
but I have these little notebooks I made. Yeah, you can see them. Okay. So I may have to turn off my background, but maybe not. So this page is the week of May 25th, 2016. Let me see. I'm gonna. Okay.
There you go.
That's May 25th, 2016. And all those red checks are ones that I have. You see DC, and I've read all those except for the DC Universe Rebirth. Those were the New 52 books. So on the anniversary of that, and since 2016, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, this is 23. I'm 7 years behind. But the next week was June 1st, and it had some New 52 stuff still coming out, but Green Arrow Rebirth, Green Lantern Rebirth, Superman Rebirth, and Batman Rebirth. And then a week after that, I'll read the next batch that came out. And I have that. I'll just stay 7 years behind. And I'm okay with it, I guess.
I love the dedication. I love the rollout. I love the planning. And I like the idea of you reading it as history, like you said, opposed to just reading it, week by week, month by month. So
Yeah. I'll know that like when they kill Superman, he didn't really die. It won't stress me out and make me cry as much.
yeah, there you go.
But it does take away some of the emotional connection, like to the stories. But that's also like when you binge read a comic book series, sometimes the writer and artist will like they designed that last page for you to have a month break where you're like stewing on that, wondering what is going to happen.
Yeah.
Batman's going to be fine, but what's going to happen?
Yeah.
And so
I
I'm
think-
kind of giving myself that.
I was
But
listening to the Making Comics podcast, and they mentioned, I think it was them, they mentioned that like comics started to kind of go downhill in a major way when, actually I think it was Rob Liefeld, when writers started getting all of the attention as opposed to the artist, because teams didn't matter as much anymore because people weren't going for the art. And it blows his mind because when he thinks of comics, he thinks of art, because if you don't have art, then it's just a book. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that because I'm an artist or anything, but I would imagine that that's how a lot of people think about comics, is the graphic part of them. And he said that it reached this point, and I think he mentioned Jeff Lemire, like when Sweet Tooth came out, suddenly there was this shift to where everybody started going after the writers. And that's the important part of comics now. And he says that's when stuff started to go downhill, because he used to love it when a creative team would be on a book for more than like 3 or 4 months. And now it's like you'll have a writer that's on it for 2 years, but the artist is constantly changing, so they don't have a chance to like gel. And like, who is the one that was drawing Claremont's X-Men forever?
there was John Byrne
John Byrne.
and
It must have been Byrne.
John Byrne.
Yeah, John Romita Jr. filled in sometimes, and I guess Liefeld talks about how John Romita Jr. is not good. He's not bad. He's a good fill-in guy, but don't have him be the main attraction on any book. But like, you have John Byrne and you have Chris Claremont, and those two, they make that book work. And then Jim Lee gets on and like pushes Claremont out, and suddenly it's all about the artist there, and then it just kind of shifted away, and now it's just a writer's industry. And my main problem with that was all a bunch of, but my main problem with the New 52 was, it's the same thing I was talking about way earlier. Comics have to reboot to get new people in, but they changed too much. They changed way too much. Like bringing Earth 2 people and having them modernized. Jay Garrick looks ridiculous with that weird space hat that he's wearing, and younging those people up too much. It's weird to me. And like everybody in those books, they all look like they're 25 years old, but then they're going to tell me all of Batman's history happened though. And I'm like, how?
Yeah.
This dude's 25 years old.
it was a very, very strange time. A lot of bad decisions. I can't say I agree with everything Rob Liefeld says though, but
Right.
I appreciate him saying it. I think is
Yeah.
I don't know that I've heard him mention Sweet Tooth, but I hope he didn't bring up Sweet Tooth, because Jeff wrote, I call him Jeff like he's my buddy.
Buddy Jeff.
Not my buddy yet, but he wrote and drew that. But I do know that like I think that shift change happened with like, I remember people getting excited for the first time about a writer when J. Michael Straczynski, second time we've mentioned him today. That's weird. Took over on Amazing Spider-Man. Bendis and Jeff Johns. And those guys, I feel like were the big shift on writers becoming the heroes. I agree with you though, like it should be teams. I'm gonna say the best storylines are always with consistent creators, like writer and artist and inker and colorist. If you have the creative teams flopping around all the time, it's not going to be a good comic, usually.
Right. And I'm wondering if that stuff is more political in nature, like because both comic companies came up with their royalty systems around the same time. And I'm wondering if it's a case of like, well, if we keep this guy and this guy together, they're going to sell so many books. We're going to have to pay a lot more royalties that way. But if we cut it up and let, you know what I mean? It's almost like they're shooting themselves in the foot to save money later. Like, we don't want to sell too many books because then we got to pay way more money to these people. So if we only sell 200,000 of this book, I don't even know what's considered like a high number anymore for sales. But
I have no clue.
I know it's nothing like what it used to be. And now that nobody really uses Diamond anymore, like that information isn't as readily available as it used to be. Because I
What do
think
you got going on, Anthony? Oh, you're drawing. You're drawing. I thought you were pulling up information or something.
I got a second wind. I got a second wind. Go ahead.
but I know that I think it's what's Marvel distributed through Penguin now. I think
Penguin Random House.
yeah, and they don't release their numbers. And DC has their own company that they set up to distribute their books.
Yeah,
And I
Lunar.
guess comic shops hate them because they're constantly like a day late in getting their shipments from them.
Are they still doing Tuesday release for DC?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, but then it's like, what's the point of saying that we can get it a day early when our shipment shows up a day late all the time? It's just, it comes out on Wednesdays like everything else. But I just think that split that happened, I don't know, it just seems like it was kind of a bad idea, even if Diamond does take a lot of money. From what I've heard. We'll find out real soon when our book ships through them.
If I was all quiet during that, it's because I don't have much of opinion of DC. I don't read too much DC, so I'm listening to everything, but I don't have anything informative to add to it. So,
Well, that's not how the world works anymore, Anthony.
well, it's gonna have to be because
No, you have an opinion no matter what. And if you sound like you're dumb because you don't know what you're talking about, then you lead into that as hard as possible.
hey man,
Hey, man. Yeah, I don't know much about any of them anymore. I collected comics somewhat heavily in like when 52 was coming out. And then I fell off because they were like, man, after 52 is done, we're not going to do any events for a while because we're getting event fatigue in the offices, and you as readers are also getting event fatigue. By the way, as soon as 52 is over, we're doing another weekly event. It's going to be called Countdown, and the numbers are going to go down instead of up. And then that event is going to have a whole bunch of events tied into it, and World War III.
Yeah, that one went crazy.
It's nuts. 52 is pretty good for what it was.
Oh yeah.
I mean, Booster Gold was the main character, so I'm a little bit biased because Booster Gold's awesome.
oh yeah,
I mean, I can definitely see why they tried to get something. They tried to run with that model. You know?
Yeah, and then New 52 happened and they ruined Booster Gold. What do you think, Anthony?
I think Bruce Wayne is Batman. That's what I've been thinking. I've been reading some of their books, and I'm like, I got a slight suspicion that has got this billionaire, you got these gadgets. It only makes sense. That's what I've been thinking.
Well, don't worry. If you think, or if you're witnessing it long enough, eventually DC will run out of ideas and Bruce Wayne won't be Batman for a little bit. That's a model that has worked for them more than a handful of times.
I want to see
I'd
Wonder
read some
Woman.
Dick Grayson Batman again.
I want to see Wonder Woman be Batman.
Do they still have all the different Batman?
Like the League of Batman.
Like, what was that one? Batwing? Is that his name?
I think he's still around. Yeah. Yeah, he was. Yeah.
Hey man.
Yeah, man.
I don't know. I'm 7 years behind, man. But I imagine he's still in it.
He better be.
I just love those characters, you know. One day I'm gonna write Superman. I used to want to write Batman.
And then
Would
I'm
you wanna write-
gonna read Superman.
Would you want to write Superman like in continuity, or would you want to do your own one shot of Superman,
Um,
or like an out of continuity storyline?
either, but I would want to be able to I would want to be at a point in my career where like how I presented, if it was in continuity, how I presented Superman is just how he was presented throughout the line. Not that I'd control what all the other creators did with Superman, but like he would have the characteristics that I think Superman should have.
Right. See, I think the coolest way to do it would be like how they did For All Seasons. You know, it's like it's a story that takes Superman the way that Superman should be, but then like it's not like it was Action Comics number 700 through 704. It was its own like standalone thing.
Right. Well, my Super Baby story, it would be its own thing. It would be its own standalone thing, and it's what would get them to ask me to do Superman.
And you got it all planned now.
Yeah.
Language.
I don't think anybody's ever wanted to do a Super Baby story, but I do.
Just get an artist that can draw babies, because don't get John Byrne.
Yeah. I've seen those panels.
So babies are just grown up smaller, right?
He draws everything else pretty good though.
I think he did. So I don't know if you guys follow any comic strip stuff, but there's this comic strip called Funky Winkerbean that finally put itself out of misery, or out of its misery. He's been doing a bunch of like real weird stuff where like, so it started when these kids were in like high school, and then he did a giant time jump to where they were like fresh out of college, and then he did a time jump where they were in their 30s, and then he did another time jump where they were in like their late 50s, and which is cool because you know it keeps him engaged and it gives him a whole like swath of new idea material, but that makes it real hard to follow in a comic strip format. And it finally came to an end, and he got John Byrne to draw like his last two comic strips. And
that's so weird.
It came as a surprise to me because I thought that John Byrne was dead.
Surprise.
He's still doing X-Men comics, isn't he?
Oh, I have no idea.
I don't think so. I could be wrong, but I don't recall seeing his name in a while.
Okay, he's doing his own X-Men comics that he's releasing for free.
Oh, yeah.
That's right. I remember hearing about that. I
thought you were referring to like new current canon.
Is there any Marvel comics you suggest, Anthony?
Oh, is there ever? The best thing I can do Let me make a big mark on my screen here so I know where I left off. I might
Hey,
edit.
Anthony, did I just make a mistake?
I don't know. What'd you say?
We asked if you have any suggestions.
Oh, because now the episode's going to be an extra hour long.
Or you're gonna convince me to buy a bunch of Marvel comics that
Oh yeah, so
kind
that
of
kind of mistake. So basically, I go through my own personal summary recaps to kind of remind myself what the heck am I reading and picking up. Um, Captain Marvel is ending a 50 issue run written by Kelly Thompson with some rotating artists. Um, I think this might be the longest running of Captain Marvel. I don't know if that includes. I think her Ms. Marvel probably lasted longer
I'm
in the
listening.
90s.
ah,
There's the ghost
Okay.
again.
that was my what? Hold up.
What is happening here?
Siri just kicked on. Sorry.
Hey man,
And somebody wants to buy that house and they have cash. What?
You got to be careful with that, man, because they'll offer you a very little amount of money.
I don't care. They can have it.
That happened when we were selling our house in Wilmington. We had it up for like the price that we wanted, and we got a cash offer that was like $25,000 less than that. Thinking it's cash.
You didn't take it?
No, because it was like very, very low compared to what we knew. We already had like 3 other offers at that point. Like seriously, we put the house on the market and within 24 hours we had 3 offers.
Yeah, you guys chose a good time to sell.
It was a crazy situation. Anywho, Anthony, what about those books that you like for Marvel
Oh.
Comics? Tell us
So
more
yeah.
about Michael Allred.
So looking at the current previews that were just submitted with the May for July, not the one that includes Happy Astronaut, because those were the June for August. Um, Amazing Spider-Man. I'm always going to have Amazing Spider-Man. Dan Slott wrote it for a little over 10 years, and he's my favorite comic writer after Matt Fife. But
Yeah, Matt Five guy's good.
they have talking about deaths when you mentioned like Superman and feeling Superman dies and you dealing with that in they released the news that there's this Fallen Friend #1 that was in the catalog for July, and I think they've since talked about, because it was a top secret thing, that they weren't saying what it was when it was printed, but I think it's in the news now that basically Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, is going to be dying in the comic books. She is my favorite modern day superhero creation. Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, absolutely love that character. I have all of her issues. I have almost everything that she's appeared in. If she showed up in Avengers or a random Hulk book, there's maybe only a couple, like a Venom. There's a Venom miniseries I think she popped up in that I got to get yet. So I love Kamala Khan, Ms. Marvel, and the announcement that her character is dying. I look at that being like, I can't wait to read that book. That's going to be exciting. Hey, it's my favorite modern day superhero, and supposedly she's going to die. But my comic book brain knows, oh well, the Marvels is coming out in November. She'll probably come back to life. Somewhere around that in the comic books. She'll get a brand new #1 because she hasn't had an ongoing. She had a very long ongoing and then had a couple miniseries. Um, so I just look at that from a publishing standpoint, just being like, oh, they'll tell a cool story involving that, and then she'll be back with a new #1, and I can buy more Ms. Marvel comics. So at this moment, I would be the rare person that gets excited, a Ms. Marvel fan getting excited that her character's dying, because I just know, well, she doesn't have a monthly book right now, but when they bring her back, she's most likely going to have one again. So I'm excited for that. Um, Marvel Age 1000 is coming out. It's a 98 page book for $9.99, and Dan Slott and Michael Allred are reuniting for a story. And just because I have the copy at arm's reach at all times wherever I'm at, Silver Surfer by Dan Slott, Michael Allred, Laura Allred. is literally my favorite comic book story of all time. It is my favorite thing. It's an annual reread that I do in the month of November. I did a complete series read through, one issue a day, ever since this ended in 2017. And this is my favorite story. It's perfect for brand new readers. You're not weighed down by a bunch of Marvel continuity. You basically exist. You experience this story through the eyes of the brand new character Dawn Greenwood, and this story is, to me, is perfection. I absolutely love it. So Dan Slott, Michael and Laura Allred are teaming up again in that Marvel Age one shot, which I think they're doing a Captain Marvel story. I don't know if it's Carol or the form, the male Captain Marvel, but I'm excited for that. The character of Layla from Moon Knight, the Disney Plus show, she is making her Marvel Comics debut as the Scarlet Scarab in the comics continuity. Scarlet Scarab was a character I think decades and decades ago that they kind of like reinvented for the TV show, and then now they're bringing the TV show version of her into the comics. So I'm definitely excited for that. Um, let's see here. Silk has been, she's another one of my favorite like modern day creations. Kind of what we talked about, 5 hours ago when we started this episode. We were talking about, retcons or bringing in your new continuity into old established continuity, and just kind of weaving in brand new ideas and old mixed in with the old origins and stuff. Silk is a character, if you haven't read it, that showed up that they retroactively put her into the Spider-Man world by going back to day one when Peter Parker got bit by that spider, and then we continue to follow Peter Parker's journey for the next 60 years in comics. But they went back, Dan Slott and the artist went back to say, hey, what happened to that spider after it bit Peter? And it bit a girl named Cindy Moon, who was also on a field trip. I forget if she was part of the same class or if she was another school that was at that lab, that field trip. And she got bit. And her whole story is the idea of her kind of being hidden away in a bunker for a decade of her life. And that explains why we've never seen her in the comics before. But they did such a brilliant way to like bring her into, and she's the same age as Peter, and Silk is awesome. They've been doing very successful 5-issue miniseries, basically one a year. So rather than giving her an ongoing book that they're saying it's ongoing, oh, we're canceling at issue 17, and then you just have a quick wrap up story, they're just like, you know what, we're giving her 5 issues this year, and then next year we're doing another 5 issues, and they can just kind of do trade paperback volumes of her story. So Silk is awesome. The Scarlet Witch book right now is really good. I'm a couple issues behind, but they've been doing a cool thing where they brought in Darcy from the MCU and brought her into the comics continuity now. And her and Wanda are basically like running like a magic shop. So I get some vibes of like the Buffy magic shop going on there. And they just have just a cool little mini, I think it's an ongoing, but cool stuff going on over there. She-Hulk book is crushing it. I think that was meant to be a mini series, and now they just keep making issues because it's awesome. Jen Bartel does amazing cover A's on all of the She-Hulk issues. That book is just knocking it out of the park. And let's see here. Yeah, so that's kind of some of the current Marvel stuff. Oh, and what I kind of fell off of, I was saying Captain Marvel. There's a 50th issue that is popping up soon, and it's going to wrap up Kelly Thompson's 50-issue run on Captain Marvel, which I think is the most for Carol as Captain Marvel. And Kelly Thompson is just a top writer for me when it comes to just all across the board. She has a Black Cloak series over at Image Comics right now that's super awesome. She's done a run on Sabrina. She's done Rogue and Gambit, and she's done Deadpool, and I think has some Harley Quinn stuff coming up in a Black, White, and Redder series. But that's just Marvel in a nutshell, based off of a July pre-order list that I had up. So
Wow.
And then there's a bunch of
Much
stuff I
as I
didn't even
thought.
talk about it. I just cherry picked the best of the best. What was your question? Fife?
Oh, I thought you'd have a longer list than that. So this Silk person is that's a different character than Madam Web, right?
Correct.
Okay.
Silk
And
is someone I'm crossing the fingers that will be like part of the post credits of this new Spider-Verse movie, which is may or may not be out by when people are watching this. I haven't heard any rumblings about her being in it, so that just leads me to believe that maybe that'll be a cool little tease to do because they're doing part two. They're doing two parts of this next sequel here. Um, but I think it's in development. They have a couple Marvel TV series with Sony that are being developed for live action Spider-Man spin-off stuff. And Silk is apparently one of them. And while I would appreciate, while I would prefer her to be part of the MCU just for that quick continuity and playing around with Tom Holland and stuff, it's also, hey, they can just run and just do their own take on whatever that's going to happen. I have no idea if that's actually started filming or not, but Silk, her design is so cool. When we first saw her in comics, and I'll put the image up here in post. She needed an outfit when Peter had discovered her in this bunker, so she took her web fluids, her web powers, and she made a suit out of webs. And it is like the coolest, like sexiest type of costume that you can imagine. She would eventually get, an official costume, but seeing her, in an awesome, like full on webbed up costume was pretty awesome. So yeah, right from the start, she's super cool. She works at the I can't think of the name of it, but it's like J. Jonah Jameson after he left the Bugle, he works at like an internet news place for journalism and stuff. So she does all that kind of stuff and sort of has a copycat career of Peter Parker in a sense, but she has a lot more baggage when it comes to missing 10 years of her life or being locked up in this bunker by one of the villains from, by the way, always at arm's reach here. The original Spider-Verse and Spider-Geddon omnibus, by the way, is right here. This is the stuff that kicked it all off, that Dan Slott and just a ton of creators and writers did all. And this is where Cindy Moon came from. I read like most of this when it came out in single issues, but there's a few tie-ins I didn't get, and then this omnibus just recently came out. So this is just one of those, 10-pound books that probably has like 1,200 pages. So
I haven't even opened it yet. Jeez.
I haven't because I know that it's going to be a while before I even read this darn book.
Right.
So I didn't want to even be that ambitious because I got a couple things on the stack that I'll be reading before that. But I've read probably 90% of that through single issues, however many years ago. Is it 10 years ago already? That's
wow.
I mean,
That was one of the Marvel runs that I wanted to read when I quit reading DC was was the Dan Slott Spidey.
Yeah.
But do I remember right? He joined in the middle of like a really controversial story that was built up from like J. Michael Straczynski's run or something. And
I think Joe Quesada, with some stuff going on there. And yeah, he became part of that and eventually would just get the book to himself. And there was a good long moment that he had where Amazing Spider-Man was shipping 3 times monthly.
I remember that. He had rotating artists.
Yeah. And, and once in a while he would have some co-writers and co-plotters and things like that because, Dan Slott had a lot going on and then he started doing Silver Surfer and stuff too. But I always talk about Dan Slott with being like, to me, he's like a modern day Stan Lee when it comes to the enthusiasm about the job in promoting those characters. Anytime Dan Slott is in an interview and he's gushing about the stuff that he gets to do, and the turmoil he gets to put some of his favorite characters into, and he's such a good promoter in that sense of I just love it. Like, I don't think anyone loves writing comics more than Dan Slott loves writing comics.
He was in a show. And I
Yes.
don't remember what it was, but it was basically like it was just him and like a camera followed him around.
Yeah, so Disney Plus did a series, I forget the name, but they've done a couple docu-series, and one of the episodes, because they want, like, one would be about cosplay, one would be maybe about movies, one would be about this or that. They found all of the different kind of fandoms of that spun out of Marvel Comics and how you can get into Marvel. And thankfully, one of those was about the actual comics, because that usually is kind of sidelined when it comes to how big the media stuff gets. But I was surprised to see that, yeah, it was all about Dan Slott, and basically about making the deadlines of the current books that he was doing, the current Spider-Man book. And he had talked about it too. He's like, yeah, there's things that I've definitely hammed up for the excitement of what it was on Disney Plus. So like, some people gave him crap on just like I can't believe you put the artist through this, this mess. And he's like, I didn't. He's like, this was all just, some of that just have to embellish it and just kind of make it entertaining. Essentially he was acting in some of that stuff. But it is a really cool insight of the comic creating, just to see how big the machine is when you're doing something like that. And it was cool.
That's like I follow he actually started following me back on Twitter, which is weird. But oh, what's his name? Last name is Brousseau. I feel really bad now. He is a letterer for I think for DC, but he's been posting like pictures of his old office from back when everybody actually worked at the office for DC, and I'm like,
Sure.
that's such a weird time. Isn't it weird that you would like leave your house or apartment and like get into a car or a train and go to a giant office building, go up an elevator, get out and work on comics, and then
Yeah.
go home after that?
I like the old fashioned idea of it. Like, that just sounds like a cool job. But yeah, when you get down to it, just being like, sounds like a lot of wasted time to do all that commuting when you don't need to do it.
Right. Why did this act all weird and stupid?
But to be in the Marvel bullpen, how just just a fun environment, I think, too. So
Yeah, it's definitely like kind of a romanticized period of comics, like time to go out to eat with Stan and talk about what's going to happen in the Fantastic Four.
hey there, Spider friend, let's go to Fuddruckers.
One of my first
Excelsior.
oh, I ruined the flow. Sorry. Go ahead.
That's right. I had
Okay.
nothing else.
Too late.
We'll get it back.
One of my first exposures to Dan Slott was in a Wizard magazine. And I can't remember exactly because it's in my memory from like 25 years ago. But how they'd have little blurbs about different creators or whatever. One of them was on Dan Slott, and at the time he was writing whatever the comic was called, that was like the Batman Adventures, like about the Batman the Animated Series or whatever.
Yeah.
And I remember him talking about how he was at work and he was going back home and he was all dragging because he just got done working and now he had to go work some more and finish up this Batman script. And somebody who was passing asked him, what are you doing tonight? And he said, I gotta go home and write a Batman story. And somebody told him, oh wow, that's awesome. And he realized then that his job was awesome.
Yeah.
And
good job.
If Dan is listening to this and I have that story wrong, I apologize. It was 25 years ago that I read that.
Sure. It'd be awesome if Dan Slott somehow found this. Um, I got to meet him when I talked about the cell phone thing where I'm in one of the pictures that he took and stuff. But about the Silver Surfer, he had talked about issue number 11 of that run, and maybe it was like issue 7 or 8 that they were promoting at that time, maybe 8 or 9. But he's like, oh, issue number 11, it's going to be a big one. And it's just like, man, he's hyping this thing up when it's months away and we have other issues to read. And when I got to meet him was I believe it was the weekend before issue 11 would have come out. But I told him just how I just, absolutely love that series. That series made me retroactively love the Silver Surfer. I'd always, had a fondness for the character here and there, but I would go back and buy every single Surfer comic in existence, so him and the All Reds, their book made me love the Silver Surfer, even though their take on the Silver Surfer is incredibly different than what the Silver Surfer was used to. So there's people that thought the book was awful because it was Silver Surfer. It was so different, but that's why I loved it, because it was so different. It was such a bold, unique take on it. But I got to kind of geek out about it, and the reason I tell the story is because he goes. This is once again days before this big issue 11, several months of hype. He takes out his phone. It's just me and him up there at the table. He takes out his phone and he shows me the whiteboard of how he writes his comics and how he plots them, basically, how he keeps all of his stories in order. So if you've seen the Big Bang Theory and you see those giant, like the giant whiteboard that they always work on that's in their living room and stuff, and he goes on one side, he would have it broken down into 3 portions, and that's 3 different issues of Spider-Man at the time. So 1/3 of each of those was just like, all right, here's the plot points. This is where he can just kind of keep it, visibly in front of him so he can kind of work it out. And then he goes, the back of the board would be 3 issues of Silver Surfer. But he shows me this. He goes, but for Silver Surfer number 11, it was the entire board. And he was showing me this, and I'm just like, can you send that and screen cap it and email it to me? And I want to zoom in, because he's showing, but I'm seeing it. I think he's posted that. I could probably put the photo right here, because I think he's posted it online since the issue they won an Eisner for that award, or for that issue and stuff. And I'm looking at it being like, I'm seeing Dan Slott's New York apartment. I see his whiteboard, his Silver Surfer scripts, and I'm looking around. I'm like, it's as if at C2E2 it was only me and Dan Slott in that moment, and it was super cool because he was geeking out so hard about a Silver Surfer issue that he was writing and couldn't wait for me to read 3 days later. So
That's awesome.
his excitement is infectious, and I want to just rewatch that Disney Plus episode now after Rogers had reminded me of it. So that was my rant. Rogers, do you want to talk long about something? This is great.
If you can see this picture that's on my monitor right here,
Yeah.
that's how much of issue 1 I had finished before I had to redo the whole thing.
Now I'm going to have to blur some of that stuff out too. Honest question.
It's so small, I don't think it'll be a problem, but
Okay.
it was probably 85% complete.
Okay.
So that was awesome. No, this I'm just going to get my
honestly, there was a moment of this conversation that we've been having where I think I've almost forgotten that there's an audience, in a good way. Not that I like being like, oh man, we're not living up to it, but I like the idea that we're all kind of just in our moment. So I do want to check back with Fife. Is there anything you can do on the share screen of what you've been doing?
Bam. We'll see it. I mean, it's ugly. It's stupid. I suck. Everyone hates me.
Oh, come on now.
I know it's not true. My daughters love me.
Oh, there we go.
it looks
There's
like
that guy.
crayon colors.
He's a dead guy.
You got some crayon markings up there.
I tried.
I want to see this guy show up somewhere randomly in the background of a comic book.
Maybe one day I'll draw a comic book.
There we go. Oh yeah, one day.
Uh-oh. I'm gonna have to get going, guys. Yep. I gotta get going.
6 hours wasn't long enough for you?
It
Roger,
was
how
just
you doing?
long enough.
I'm
Huh?
doing okay.
So do we let you go and then we just see what happens between me and Rogers?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, absolutely. Keep going.
All right. So it was good hanging out and hearing the stories, and yeah, I really dug that your blue dead guy there. That I wasn't expecting it after all those that you showed the other little sketches and stuff, and then I'm just like, all right, what are we gonna see? And I'm like, well, there's a whole new character.
Yeah.
Kinda
I finished something.
Yeah. I like it, sir.
Okay, bye guys.
Bye.
Later.
Bye.